it like this.
Oh, yeah. The preseason's wrapping up, and week 1's just around the corner. Last season, Philly was so close they could almost taste it. And now they're even hungrier. Donovan and company won't be satisfied with anything less than the Super Bowl. As for Baltimore, it's back to the drawing board. Does a youth movement remove the Ravens from the NFL elite? Ray Lewis and a healthy Jamal Lewis say don't bet on it. It's a preseason special on the NFL on Fox.
Going down, it's 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 going down. Check it out, 59.
Opening day is just 2 weeks away, and tonight the Baltimore Ravens take on the Philadelphia Eagles as they continue to tune up in a preseason matchup. For Baltimore, make no mistake about it, this is not the same squad that won a Super Bowl just 2 seasons ago. Meanwhile, the young Philadelphia Eagles just missed the Super Bowl last season. Will this finally be the year of the Eagles? Tonight, it's the Ravens and the Eagles. It's all right here on the NFL on Fox. And hello again, everyone. I'm James Brown, and welcome to this Fox NFL preseason special. And joining me, as always, I think I can call them my friends and colleagues, Terry Bradshaw and Howie Long. But before we talk football, folks, to Mr. Robert Kraft, the owner of the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots, we wish you the very best as he is recuperating from bypass surgery in a Boston hospital. A little bit on football. Steve Spurrier continuing to elicit strong reaction from folks around the league. Lee Flowers, a safety from Pittsburgh, a little upset.
He's upset.
Steve Mariucci, San Francisco 49ers head coach, very upset. And your good friend, Jim Haslett.
Furious. But I, for one, like new blood. I know when I was a player in Pittsburgh and all the rookies would come in, everybody would say, new blood, get up, sing some songs.
I wonder
so
why
I'm
you like
glad
that.
Steve Spurrier's in this league.
We're going to pitch the ball around.
This guy brings an exciting offense, a new personality, a dynamic, which has not been seen in the NFL for quite some time.
Protection's not a real concern for us. We just won't get rid of the ball a little quicker. We're just going to pitch it around. I know it's preseason, but I think they're keeping score. We're just going to put sports up on the board.
Speaking of pitching and catching, not something that's synonymous with the Baltimore Ravens offense.
Well, the #1 offense for the Ravens hasn't scored a touchdown yet. So you Raven fans out there, this is not going to be a good year. Plain and simple. I'm not going to watch one of their games. Now, I'm curious about Chris Redmond, who'll be playing tonight, the third-year kid out of Louisville. I don't even know who their starting wide receivers are. I'm clueless about their tight ends since Sharp is gone. I do know for a fact, though, that they've got a kid by the name of Chester Taylor out of Ohio, Howie. Pretty good running back, but I don't like the look in the eye of Redmond. And I did like Urback's eye last year, and I do think that Billick is in for a long season. How did I do? Did I get that out all right?
Mediocre offense equates to more snaps on defense, and Ray Lewis, who just signed a $19 million signing bonus this year, and I'm happy for Ray, arguably the best linebacker in football. But when you talk about the guys that are left on that defense, especially in the interior line, he's the only guy left, and they're switching to a 3-man front, which means Ray Lewis is uncovered. In a 3-man front, he's exposed to the guard. He would go unabated to the running back in that 4-man front with those 2 big defensive tackles. And mediocrity is not something that Ray Lewis is used to dealing with. It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with it as the year goes on, because this is not a good football team right now.
It could be because he's going to be stacked in the middle now, Howie, that they'll blitz him more. I don't know, because you can get away from Ray Lewis in a 3-4 now. You can run away from him, and you can get people down inside on him. So he will not be the same linebacker.
Talking defense, what about Philadelphia with Jeremiah Trotter, who was the MVP from the players' perspective on the Eagles last year? He's not there. What about the Eagles' D?
Well, Levon Kirkland and Gardner. Levon Kirkland comes over from Seattle. He reported 300 pounds. He's reportedly down to 290 now, and he's the front runner at the middle linebacker spot. Communication is such a big key in Jimmy Johnson's defense. Multiple blitzes. Their defensive line has been decimated, and you have to ask yourself, they're $9 million under the cap in Philadelphia. They're weak at the defensive tackle position. Why not sign Sam Adams? And by the way, Sam Adams took less money than Baltimore was offering to go to Oakland.
A lot less.
Who wants to play in a 3-man front? Raise your hands.
It won't be there. TB. How did you look at me when he said he's down to 290?
290. I have a hard time believing there's a middle linebacker.
Well, you know, he can cover a phone booth. Anything outside of phone booth's a toll call. You get the operator on the line.
After really studying carefully a lot about the Eagles this week in their offense, I think I'll just share this moment right now by throwing out to our guys, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Chris Collinsworth. You guys tell us a little bit about these Eagles.
Well, here we are. We're getting ready to shooting fireworks off here, Terry. There are people in the seats. They can't wait to watch the Ravens take on the Eagles.
And I do have to say, I think that was the best pregame show I've ever seen those guys.
Really?
Oh, they were just unbelievable.
They got it all figured out for us, don't they?
We're done. What are we doing here?
Chris, you're not on our show. There you have it.
The last great wide receiver out of Florida, sitting right there next to you, Troy, Joe Buck.
Hey, Chris, no, you left your note here. That's what they were operating off of that, Chris.
All right, well, since you guys are having fun out there, I guess we'll have some fun out here in Philadelphia and talk about this game. And look, Troy, all you read about with the Eagles, we were 52 yards away from the Super Bowl. They were in the NFC Championship game. They lose in St. Louis. Are they only 52 yards away? Are they ready to take the next step?
Well, I think they're ready to take it to the next level, primarily because they made it to the NFC Championship game last year. The biggest thing for them is they have to begin this season playing the way that they finished last season. To do that, Donovan McNabb has got to continue to play at the level that he's played at. It's hard to imagine him playing any better than what he has the last 2 years. So where are they going to get their production? The wide receivers, they've got to be able to pick it up some, and also they've got to get more production out of their running game. Deuce Staley is healthy for really the first time in a year, but they've got a young guy, a high draft pick in Brian Westbrook out of Villanova, who has been nothing short of outstanding here in this preseason. He's going to get an opportunity to play a lot tonight, and they're expecting a lot of big things from him. And Mr. Positive, Chris Collinsworth, what can we expect from Baltimore?
Not a whole lot this season. I'm going to agree with the pregame show, guys. You go back to the team picture from that Super Bowl team, only 16 guys remain, and maybe most importantly, the fact that off of that record-setting defense, only 4 guys remain, which means for the first time in a long time, the Baltimore Ravens are going to have to show up on the offensive side. We watched Chris Redmond last week in the exhibition game. He looked okay. Jamal Lewis is coming back. He won't be playing in the ball game tonight, but clearly a step in the right direction. But for the Baltimore Ravens, something has to give on the offensive side, and they're so young, so inexperienced. You just got to believe that this is not going to be their year, a rebuilding season for the Ravens.
Here's something that the guys in the studio did not know, and that is this. Brian Westbrook, the running back, the rookie for Philadelphia, has ties to all 3 of you guys. A, went to DeMatha High School. JB went there. B, went to Villanova, where Howie played. And C, when he was in grade school, rented Cannonball Run 2. Terry, feel good about that. We feel good about the Ravens and the Eagles. Here are the big names. Ray Lewis, Donovan McNabb. Football next on Fox. Did you know that this will be the last year they will be playing football at the Vet, at least for the Philadelphia Eagles? They will move into a new stadium right across the street. Meanwhile, a guy who starred here at Veterans Stadium, didn't play for Andy Reid, he played for a couple of different coaches, a guy named Buddy Ryan. And there he is, Randall Cunningham, a guy that they honor here tonight. You played against Randall Cunningham, so I know this is an emotional moment for you, Troy Aikman. He signed a contract with the Eagles to officially retire for the 2nd time in his career as a Philadelphia Eagle.
2nd time, and I think this is going to be the last time for him. Not only did I compete against Randall when he was playing here for the Eagles, but I also was a teammate of his back in 2000. He was my backup with the Dallas Cowboys, and boy, it's nice to see him go out the way that he came in with a big bang, and what a career he had.
The ceremony just moments ago, he walked out. They flew him in here from Vegas, waved to the crowd, and he's down with Pam Oliver. Pam?
All right, thanks a lot, Joe. Randall, you spent a decade of your career guiding the Philadelphia Eagles. What does it mean for you to retire as one?
You know, I was so fired up, but I was trying to keep from crying at the same time, you know, because just to be out here one more time, pass the torch to Donovan, you know, and be a fan again, it's a beautiful experience, you know. God allowed me to get out of this game healthy and strong and with a wonderful family, and I'm so thankful to God for these people in Philadelphia who really supported me.
All right, let's take a look at Donovan McNabb. Let's go back up to Joe.
All right, Pam, thanks. In fact, Donovan McNabb grew up idolizing Randall Cunningham. And here he is. The torch has, I guess, in a way, officially been passed. But people around here think that torch was passed long ago. And McNabb is their guy. The question is, can he lead this offense down the field and get some points, something the first-team offense hasn't been able to do so far in this preseason. David Akers has a great leg, and Lamont Brightful has great legs. He can fly, and away we go. There's that booming leg, and Brightful will take a knee. Well, Terry Bradshaw doesn't like the look in the eyes of Chris Redman. I did. They were kind of pouty. They were engaging. They're blue. And he's ready to go. The kid from Louisville. He was Mr. Louisville as a young man, growing up playing for his father in high school and then at the university. Protected by this group. Jonathan Ogden, one of the best ever at the tackle position. Chester Taylor and Alan Ricard in the backfield, with Taylor and Stokely the wide receivers, and Todd Heap is a key for this offense for Baltimore. Looking for a quick throw, and that's Stokely. He's got a first down, tripped up across the 35. And we look at the defense after an 18-yard gain on a throw from Redmond to Stokely. Up front, the key for the Eagles is Darwin Walker. Can he fill in for the injured Hollis Thomas, who's out after having foot surgery? Smart guy. He's a big guy, rather stout, and they hope he can do some things up front. Saw the linebackers with Kirkland getting the start, and there's the secondary. Very good secondary here in Philadelphia. That's Chester over the right side. Gained a handful of yards, and two good plays here at the start. Taylor got 4.
You know, you look at this offensive line for the Baltimore Ravens. They've made one major change. Edwin Mulatalo now going over to the right tackle position. I don't think there's any question at all about his ability to run block. The question is going to come in, can he pass block? Saw Robert Porcher the first game. Porcher made him look a little silly on a few plays, but he's been getting better every week.
On second down, Redmond couldn't handle the snap, and he's just happy to get the ball back. Got back to the line of scrimmage. Third down coming up.
Yeah, and that's something they've had problems with the last 2 preseason games, is getting the quarterback center exchange, something that they definitely have to work on. And to go back to Chris Redmond, here's a guy with very strong credentials coming out of college there at Louisville, joining the Baltimore Ravens, and he only threw 3 passes in his career so far, and that wasn't even last year. It was the year before. But he's got a good arm, throws a tight spiral. He's got some real talent. All he needs is some playing time.
Third down and 5, empty backfield. Over the middle, juggled and dropped. The throw behind Brandon Stokely in time for the Ravens to punt.
Looked like Chris Redmond was a little nervous in the pocket that time. He dropped back. He had plenty of time. The offensive line was doing a nice job. And it's just one of the things you're going to have to live with a young quarterback. And speaking of young talents, there's a gentleman right there that I think we're all pretty impressed with, Brian Westbrook.
So much so that he's been returning punts, been returning kicks, and will work some of the first-team offense tonight for the Eagles. High snap, Zastudil to Westbrook. A late fair catch called for by Brian, and the Eagles will start with it just outside their 20 after a 36-yard punt.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by GMC. From professional grade people come professional grade SUVs.
You've always got a friend in Philadelphia. That's what I read on a billboard when I got off the plane at the airport 3 days ago.
We just haven't found ours yet.
No. And maybe we will sometime tonight. Who's going to make this team tonight? That's the question that these coaches are asking themselves and one another. Donovan McNabb, you know he's going to make the team. You know he's going to try to lead this team deeper into the playoffs, and the only step they have yet to take is getting this team to the Super Bowl, where Ray Lewis was the MVP in Super Bowl 35. They start at their own 20, the Eagles do, and McNabb starts with a throw. That's Staley out of the backfield, and he is tapped at the 39-yard line. Gain of 19 on that throw. Offensive line very good. They have a couple of first-round picks up front protecting Donovan McNabb. That includes Trey Thomas. It also includes Jermaine Mayberry. And John Runyon may be a marked man after a nasty hit last week at New England. They start with Deuce Staley and Cecil Martin. We'll see a lot of running backs filter into the game for the Eagles. Staley. He caught one, now he runs one, nearly lost the football. A gain of 4, and we look at the defense for the Baltimore Ravens after Shannon Taylor made that stop up front, and they at least will call it a 3-4 here at the beginning, and the two guys to my right will take us through that transition that the Ravens are trying to make. They're not big up front. The reason why they do it, they like the talent they have at the linebacker position. And the secondary outside of McAllister is young, untested, and so far in the preseason not very good. Second down and 6. That's Levens out of the backfield. Plenty of room. First down, Philadelphia. Inside Baltimore territory, tackled by Hartwell.
You know what you're going to see is Chris McAllister, the corner, he's going to ride the receiver all the way up the field, which creates this space right here for Dorsey Levens to catch the football and have room to run, and a coverage where they really should have had someone there in support because of the depth that Chris McAllister took. Created a nice area there for Dorsey Levens.
Gain of 10 on the play, and on first down back to Deuce Staley. Missed parts of the last 2 years with injuries, and he forces his way forward for a 5-yard gain.
And it really hasn't been a very good start to the exhibition season for this #1 offense of the Philadelphia Eagles. Such high expectations this season. A lot of people picking them to win the Super Bowl, and I know the Eagles would like to come out here in this first quarter and get something established, get a little momentum, especially against the Ravens defense. They're really not playing very many of their star players tonight.
There are the disappointing numbers for the first team offense so far this preseason for the Eagles. 2nd and 5. That's Dorsey Levens, the former Packer. Wow. Lowered his shoulder and gets a first down. Gain of 8.
You know, Dorsey Levens picked up this year by, he was at Green Bay and then was released, and the Eagles picked him up. Andy Reid had spent time there at Green Bay as a tight ends and quarterback coach, so he was very familiar with Dorsey Levens and his skills and knew that he could come into this offense and provide some real quality depth at the running back position and play within an offense that he's very familiar with.
So far, so good for the Philadelphia offense, and McNabb changes the play at the line. Play clock down to 1. Quick throw, Mitchell. Upended by Will Demps, a gain of 5. But a penalty flag on the play. Bob McElwee.
Illegal formation, number 72, offense. Not up on the line of scrimmage. 5 yards.
Here we go. Not up on the line of scrimmage, Chris.
Here's my favorite rule in football. Their new point of emphasis this year. They're going to have watch out for the offensive linemen that don't break the plane of the belt buckle of the center. Now, all that's going to do this season is just get a lot of quarterbacks hit in the back of the head. I don't like the rule at all.
McNabb wants to air it out. Now he's going to run. And Andy Reid watches his franchise quarterback scamper out of bounds with a first down. 21-yard gain.
Well, and that's where Donovan McNabb is at his best. He drops back looking to throw the football, but a crease opens up inside by the rush of the defense, and he takes it. Donovan always looking to throw the football, but right there was nothing but open green grass for him, and just a nice gain.
And he really doesn't want to be known as a running quarterback, but that is what makes him great. He's a very good passer. He's a great quarterback when he gets out of the pocket.
Hand off to Staley. And a nice tackle out here in space by Adalius Thomas, who will play at a linebacker position. They'll also put him down on the defensive line. Second down coming up for the Eagles.
And I think that's one of the great things that they have right now with Adalius Thomas, who is normally a defensive end, but because of his athletic ability, they're also able to use him in the linebacker position, so they can go from a 4-down, 3-linebacker set to a 3-down, 4-linebacker set without even having to change personnel because of the versatility of a guy like Adalius Thomas.
8th play of the drive coming up, 2nd and 7. And a pitch. Levens nearly dropped it. happy to hang on, and a loss of a couple on the play. Marquez Douglas made the stop.
The pitch just never quite got there.
Yeah.
Donovan McNabb tried to reverse out and get that thing out there to Dorsey Levens, but it came up a little bit short. And when a running back on a quick pitch has to slow down to catch the ball, virtually no chance at all.
Loss of 2, so 3rd and 9.
Who you got, Trail? I got 84. Hey, come.
Plenty of time. And McNabb is wrestled down. Good play by Will Demps, who's not only trying to make this team, but if he plays well here tonight and next week, may force his way into the starting lineup for the Ravens.
Well, one of the things that they want to try to do, here's Freddie Mitchell right here, and he's going to work over the middle there of the ball. He's wide open. They break coverage on him. Donovan doesn't see him until it's too late, and the other guys are able to react to it. You see right here, Donovan sees him. It's too late. He's just got to try to make something out of nothing at that point.
So that brings up 4th down and brings David Akers onto the field, a 40-yard try. One of the best in the business. A 3-0 Eagle lead. And the first team offense for Philadelphia goes down the field and puts up 3.
And now Wendy's pickup windows open late so you can eat great even late.
They're a little bitter around here. We'll talk about that after we tell you about the pregame show. The undisputed champion of pregame shows return. JB, Terry, Howie are back. Who's going to sit in that seat once held by our own Chris Collinsworth? That's right, Jimmy Johnson the first few weeks. Guess they'll try to talk him into some more. You love that telestrator, don't you?
Don't do it, Jimmy.
Fox
Don't
NFL
do it.
Sunday returns September 8th at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. David Akers. Look at that. Huh? Wow.
Nothing wrong with that leg.
One exciting kickoff man right there. David Akers. Does it get any better, Chris?
That was priceless.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by The Transporter. September 13th only in theaters. By Singular Wireless. Introducing Singular Rollover. They're your minutes, keep them. By Trident White. Trident White, smile brighter. And by Circuit City. We know how you feel. That's why we're here. Circuit City, we're with you.
It's a 3-0 Philadelphia lead. The Baltimore Ravens last year ended up in the playoffs, even though Jamal Lewis went down the first week of camp. Goal line stand against the Titans, a 3-game winning streak. Gerbach 4 picks as the Browns sweep the season series. The Ravens then clinched the wild card against the Minnesota Vikings, but it was the Pittsburgh Steelers that ended the Ravens season in the divisional playoff round. And now this year is a completely different year. In fact, you could make the case for Brian Billick and his coaching staff. The regular season will in a way be like an elongated preseason, because they're really evaluating the talent they have and where they're going to spend the money in the next couple of years when they find some. Over the right side, that's Chester Taylor. He gained 4.
But Troy, I don't think there's any question now in retrospect that the decision to let Trent Dilfer go and to bring in Elvis Gerbach was clearly a mistake. It hurt the football team. I don't think Brian Billick will admit that. He has a little bit of Maxwell Smart in him, I think, you know, exactly as I planned it all along. But from the standpoint of what it did to the football team, he just never gelled with the rest of the guys.
Redmond in trouble. And it's incomplete. Ricard, the intended receiver. You look at some of the different starting quarterbacks that Brian Billick has had. Would you believe Scott Mitchell was 0-2?
Yours is a lot better than mine.
Stoney Case 2-2. Then you got Tony Banks, Trent Dilfer. They won a Super Bowl with. He was really the one guy that had success with Billick. Billick is known as this offensive guru and genius who has had trouble developing quarterbacks in his time with Baltimore.
People are going to start asking for the cone of silence with us.
3rd down and 6. Redmond Redmond throws. Todd Heap. What a catch. What a throw. And a first down inside Eagles territory.
Well, it starts with Edwin Mulatalo, who's starting at right tackle. He's been accustomed to playing left guard. You watch him, 64, does a great job of holding up and giving him some time to throw. And here's Todd Heap running a corner route, their first-round pick last season. And look at the separation that he gets and the throw that's dropped in there by Chris Redmond. Outstanding route, outstanding throw by Chris Redmond.
Rashard Cook on the coverage. Gain of 28 on that throw. And the Ravens are inside Philadelphia territory. Chester Taylor over the left side, and he is collared down at the 45, a gain of 3.
You know, I think to follow up, Chris, with what you said, there's no question that when they brought in Elvis Gerback, they thought it was going to be an improvement over what they had at the production level at quarterback with Trent Dilfer. They just felt that they needed to elevate their offensive side of the game if they were going to continue in the direction that they were going. I would say this, for Elvis Gerback, it was a very difficult situation for him to come into, a veteran team that felt like the defense carries the offense, and you could tell Elvis was just never accepted as the quarterback here in Baltimore.
Second down and 7. Chester Taylor lost the football. And we'll see who recovered it. Don't know if Chester Taylor ever got it from Redmond. And it looked like Redmond may have fallen back on top of it, and he did.
Well, if I saw Levon Kirkland running at me, I might cough up the football as well. Levon Kirkland, a great acquisition for this football team. They lost their defensive MVP from a season ago, Jeremiah Trotter, a free agent off to the Washington Redskins. And Kirkland, a guy I don't think even he would dispute the fact he's a little overweight right now. He's not quite what he once was. But what the Philadelphia Eagles are asking him to do is to plug the middle and stop the run, and he can still do that.
And you see that he came off the field here on third down. He won't be asked to cover anybody in this defense.
3rd and 7, blitz coming. Redmond, a quick throw. And incomplete. Pass intended for Ron Johnson.
Something looked a little fouled up there. Ron Johnson, for whatever reason, was simply jogging down the field, and Troy Vincent, no problem whatsoever covering him. Troy Vincent, obviously one of the top cornerbacks in the league, and that was easy.
Zastudil with his second punt of the night. First one 37 yards. And it's Westbrook waiting deep. The lefty hangs up a good one. And a fair catch at the 8. So the Eagles get it back. Talk about Brian Billick and the Ravens more after the break. A 3-0 Eagles lead. Just to get back to Billick and talk about this Ravens a little more in depth. I like Brian Billick, and I think he's fun to talk to. I think he's got a career in radio or television whenever he hangs it up, but he's in a great spot, and he doesn't shy away from it. He says, in one hand, I've got a new 4-year contract. In the other hand, I've got a Super Bowl ring. And for the next 2 years, there's really nothing expected of this Baltimore Ravens team. The question is, how do you, as Brian Billick, sell to your team, let's go out there and try to play, we've got a shot? It's almost about as tough a sell as you can find.
Well, I think he'll sell it, and I think he'll do a great job of it. Brian's got that in him. The great thing about it is there are very few coaches in this league that are afforded the luxury and the time to endure a transitional period like this, but he has the support of management and Ozzie Newsome.
That's Staley right up the middle. And he's brought down by Ed Hartwell, one of the 2 inside linebackers for the Ravens, after a gain of 5.
Well, you take a look here, John Welburn right here. He gets out here on Ray Lewis. You see one of those situations where the lineman's not covered, so he's got a straight shot at Ray Lewis. You will not see that very many times to Ray Lewis.
I bet with Syracuse and Sam Adams in the middle last year, he didn't see that all year. As McNabb's in trouble, throws it, penalty flag, Pinkston with a catch. Working on McAllister all the way out near midfield to the 49. There is a flag on the play, a gain of 35 on that throw and catch.
You know, it's really just not fair. Here, the Baltimore Ravens have absolutely the perfect blitz on. They get the corner coming off and get Donovan McNabb dead to rights. The guy somehow escapes and makes a big play down the field. There's not maybe one other quarterback.
Number 21, defense. That penalty will be declined. First down.
in the NFL that's going to make that play, and I think that's Dante Culpepper's the other one. Perfect blitz call. Porter coming off the edge, right there, try and jump up. He just eludes the tackler, makes a big play down the field. You really can't expect Chris McAllister, when you're blitzing 9, to hold up for very long.
So a first down at their own 49. That's Levens. And that's a couple over the left side. We'll give him a 1.5 yards. Officially a 1.5 yards from the booth here, the vet. I was saying this is an interesting crowd here in Philadelphia. It doesn't matter what the sport. You have to realize that the last major championship that was won in this city for these fans was 1983. The 76ers. So if you wonder why these fans get on the Phillies, get on the Eagles, and they have high expectations for this team in 2002, well, they're thinking maybe this will be the team in the group that gets them a championship. Overthrown as Nate Brown, as Donovan McNabb aired it out.
But I bet they got on the 76ers in '84. Just I've been here before, man. It doesn't matter. They boo Santa Claus, so it's a tough crowd.
I've been here when they've done that.
You're pretty popular around here too, aren't you?
Well, we never did real well here. There's Harold Carmichael. He had a heck of a career here at the vet, and these guys have got to be excited about going over their new digs next year at the new stadium.
So you're saying Irving, Cheeks, Malone all got booed the next season?
Well, they got booed, but I'm sure they had their moments.
3rd down and 9. Far sideline, Pinkston pulled up, and the ball just kept on going.
Well, there's 2 chances there on the last 2 passes. You know, you had Nate Brown up in the seam on the play previous to that. He overthrew him, and you had him here on the comeback, overthrew him here, and then you see when he makes the throw when he's out scrambling. The one area of Donovan McNabb, and I'm a big fan of his, but the area where he really struggles is when he's forced to sit in the pocket and deliver the football, and he's just not very accurate in those situations.
Sean Landetta, who's been in the league since they were wearing leather helmets, punts it to Lamont Brightful, and he pulls it in near the 18-yard line. 33-yard punt from the 40-year-old. Look at the even mowing job on this faux next turf on the floor of Veterans Stadium. First 2 possessions have resulted in punts.
People are lining up to pull the trigger when they destroy this place.
You know, part of the stadium's going to have to come down the old-fashioned way with the wrecking ball.
I'm going to fly in to watch that.
I'm sure you will. From their own 17, delayed handoff to Chester Taylor. He got a couple. The new stadium will be right across the street. They call it Lincoln Financial Field. They'll open it next year. Seating capacity 66,000. It'll include cutting-edge audio and video systems. And right across the street from that will be the new baseball stadium for the Phillies. Chris, you weren't standing there when the head of security for the Eagles came up to Troy Aikman practice the other day and said, "Hey, Aikman,
hey,
really respect you, love the job you do." Some of the guys were wondering if you come over to the new place and lay down on the floor to see how it feels compared to the vet.
I was on my back all the time for 12 years here.
2nd down and 8. Redmond over the middle, good throw. His new favorite receiver is Todd Heap, and he is just short of a first down, it appears.
Well, Chris Redmond, he really does a good job here of hanging in under pressure.
In fact, so good that he gets a late hit here up to the face by Darwin Walker, and that draws a flag.
Darwin Walker hits him up high, and
first down.
That may be the only penalty the Eagles get all year in which Andy Reid is going to smile. Darwin Walker is a guy that they absolutely have to have good play out of this season. They lost Hollis Thomas once again with the foot injury, and there is tremendous pressure on Darwin Walker to step his game up. A very bright guy, civil engineering degree, very physical, very strong, but he has to come up big this season.
Redmond, little play fake, and the ball's tipped and picked off. Intercepted by Gardner. And the Eagles take over at the Ravens 40. Barry Gardner in a fight with Levon Kirkland. See who's going to start on opening day in the middle. And it was tipped and fell into the arms of Barry.
Well, here's the play fake by Chris Redmond, and He gets back and has some time, and Barry Gardner, who, as you mentioned, is the ball got tipped, and not a fault there of Chris Redmond, but Barry Gardner is a guy who 2 years ago was starting will linebacker, and then last year Mike Caldwell beats him out. They move him to the middle, and now he's in a dogfight for that starting spot with Levon Kirkland. He has the experience in knowing the system. Levon Kirkland has the edge as far as run support.
On first down, pass complete. That's James Thrash.
Well, that's a pretty good looking throw right there, and there's a good shot of Barry Gardner. He and Levon Kirkland really have sort of come to an understanding about this middle linebacker position, and they'll actually be on the field in several defenses together. There really is not any animosity at all. Levon Kirkland came up to him when they were talking, just like you see right there. They're coming up and celebrating the interception, and basically they said, hey, we're just trying to win a Super Bowl. It's late in my career. That's all I want.
McNabb flushed, throws on the run, and throws behind Thrash.
Boy, he had a chance right there. Donovan getting outside of the pocket and always looking to throw the football. You see here, it's just a straight drop back, but he gets flushed, and so he's scrambling out, and he's got Thrash deep, and he's just not able to get enough air on it. If he's getting some air there, that's a touchdown.
You know, Chris McAllister, number 21 for the Ravens, a guy under tremendous pressure this year. He's basically going to be the Deion Sanders of this team because they lost Dwayne Starks, their other star cornerback.
Wearing the right number. On second down, over the middle, wide open, the tight end. That's Lewis, and that's a Philadelphia first down.
Well, if there's a weakness on this defense for the Baltimore Ravens, it is clearly their secondary. They are just so young that they have a hard time matching up with people. And here you got Chad Lewis with just no one near him to make a play. And Chad Lewis, Pro Bowl player from last year, and a guy who Donovan McNabb depends on greatly for some of those intermediate routes.
The guy that was waived by the St. Louis Rams in '99. He comes to Philadelphia. He's a two-time Pro Bowl. Out of the backfield, and a poor throw for the fullback Cecil Martin.
Well, and that's an example of what I was talking about earlier. And Donovan is one of the most erratic passers that I've ever seen on the short throws. I mean, he can make plays. He can make plays with his feet. He can make plays with his arm when he's moving around, and he's always looking to throw the football. But when he's in the pocket and has an easy short pass, he is not accurate at all. And I know at times it drives Andy Reid crazy.
Under half a minute to play in the first quarter. Second down and 10. That's Levens. Levens fights to the 16-yard line, and that's it.
Troy, I want to get back to the point you just made, and one of the things that makes running this West Coast offense really difficult is you have to hit a high percentage. You can't afford to be in 2nd and 10s and 3rd and 8s. Those are very difficult situations for the West Coast.
But this is the East Coast, and this is Donovan McNabb, and the Eagles are knocking on the door again. They'll be faced with a third down when we come back in the second quarter. The score, 3-0 Eagles. Fox NFL Special will continue after these messages. Only 3 points on the board. The Eagles have been moving the ball up and down the field, but have yet to crack the end zone, something this first group with Philadelphia is dying to do. There are the statistics. Dominated by the Eagles across the board. Total yards 133 compared to 67. We've had a turnover. An interception of Redmond by Gardner. And on third down, McNabb is tripped up and brought down to the backfield. That's a sack. And that's Shannon Taylor, who first got his hands up on Donovan McNabb.
You know, one of the major differences between the Philadelphia Eagles and, let's say, the St. Louis Rams is simply the fact that here the Eagles get down here inside the 15-yard line and absolutely no thought whatsoever of running the football. This is a pass-first team as opposed to, say, the Rams with a Marshall Faulk, where you really are not sure in that situation what they might do.
33-yard drive for Akers, who's already hit a 40-yarder. This is automatic. And it is 6-0. Maybe we'll see a little of Westbrook as we go along here in the first half. We'll find out. 6-0 Eagles. It's a 6-0 Philadelphia lead. So the first group for the Eagles again down the field, but Stahl, 40-yard field goal and a 33-yard field goal by this guy, Akers. Rightful, right about at the goal line. Lamont tiptoes and can't reach the 20. So there's Donovan McNabb. I said going to break, we might see a little bit of Brian Westbrook, who really adds something that the Eagles haven't had here the last couple of years.
Yeah, and even though Deuce Staley's a guy that can clearly make some plays, I think a guy like Westbrook can give him some easy offense. Even though they're not going to run the football, Troy, they can flip it out in the flat, a little quick pass out there, let him break a tackle, pick up a cheap first down, so they don't have to work so hard to go down the field, especially down in that red zone.
Yeah, they've shown what he's been able to do. I mean, he's a small guy in size, but big in stature, and he's already shown the ability to break tackles and catch the ball out of the backfield, the very thing that you said that they need.
Redmond with a fake toss and a rollout. Wide open on the sideline is Stokely, and a first down for Baltimore.
Brandon Stokely is a guy that I like. He came out of last year's training camp, and they were all excited about the possibilities of what he was going to do. He had a couple of good games and then got hurt and really struggled throughout the course of the season. Remember back to the Super Bowl, what a huge play he made on that 38-yard touchdown reception over Jason Sehorn. I really thought kick-started that win.
Delayed handoff. Chester Taylor, a loss on the play. Met in the backfield. Good push up front. A couple of their linebackers. Sean Barber, a newcomer, was joined there by Hugh Douglas, the defensive right end, who is a two-time Pro Bowler.
Well, that's the area of this defensive football team that people have said that they need to improve upon if they're going to have a chance to go all the way. Teams last year were unable to throw the football against them. They ranked second against the pass, but they have got to be able to play the run better than what they have, and that was a great play right there by Hugh Douglas.
Second down and 12. Another play fake. More pressure and a sack. Corey Simon.
We're going to see Corey Simon coming up inside and just slipping there, and Chris Redmond really did not have much of a chance there in trying to get rid of the football, but last week he took a bunch of sacks, and I know that Brian Billick was not happy about that, and somehow you've got to be able to escape it and get rid of the football.
There aren't many better coordinators with any unit on any team than Jim Johnson, and with the play clock winding down and with confusion up at the line, Redmond spends a timeout. 3rd and 21 when we come back.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere NFL fans want to be. By Verizon, we never stop working for you. And by Miller High Life. To live simply, proudly, boldly, manly. This is the High Life.
Beautiful night in Philly, a threat of rain, but it's very pleasant here at the Vet. Tomorrow on Fox Saturday Baseball, the Angels try to keep pace atop the tight AL West when they take on a Red Sox team trying to gain ground in the wild card race. That wild card is something. Or the NL East leading Atlanta Braves battle a Dodgers team trying to stay on top in the NL wild card race, or other regional action. It all begins tomorrow with This Week in Baseball at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. And there's the wild card standings in the American League. Oakland and Seattle tied at the top. Boston, that's probably their best chance to get to the postseason. Right now, the Red Sox are leading Anaheim 4-0 behind Pedro Martinez. And in the National League, a 2.5-game lead for the Dodgers over their rival San Francisco Giants. Tellis Redmond in the backfield for Baltimore on 3rd and 21. And that's Travis Taylor, who gets the ball only back to the 35, and it's time for the Ravens to punt.
Well, and that's typical right there of Brian Billick trying to protect the development of Chris Redmond. 3rd and long, you're not going to be able to pick up the first down. The odds of that happening are very slim, and so go with something safe where you can drop back, get rid of the football in the anticipation that they may blitz you. I thought great call by Brian Billick in protecting a young quarterback.
Ryan Mitchell waiting deep for this punt. Our first look at one of the best ever at this. On the run. Great return. Out to the 45. Let's look back to last year when the Rams opened up the season here in Philadelphia, and they came away with an overtime field goal to beat the Eagles. The 49ers goal line stand drops Philadelphia. The Eagles did sweep the Giants in their season series. McNabb led the Eagles into the NFC Championship game, but, well, like it started, it ended with a loss to the St. Louis Rams. They could not get down the field and ended 52 yards shy in the NFC Championship game.
And Troy, I've got to think the Eagles are a little disappointed so far. I mean, this Ravens defense really not playing very many of their stars, and they only have 6 points on the board right now.
No surprise to see Brian Westbrook in the game, and he gets the ball right away. Falls forward for 3. Went over that right side where John Runyon anchors the line for Philadelphia.
Yeah, you're going to see John Runyon right here, the right tackle, and a very aggressive physical player. You take a look at, I mean, he's just got him stoned right there.
And held and all kinds of things.
He's going to push the limits on the rules. There's no question.
And he has.
I tell you, as a quarterback, he's the kind of guy you want lined up in front of you.
Look at that picture. Does that guy look like a marked man in the NFL with all these fines and the dirty hit that he had a week ago in New England? I mean, he looked like a calm
he's
librarian.
I talked to him on the field before the game tonight, and he was not apologetic for anything that took place. He had an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, speared a guy in the back while he was on the ground last week, and he got fined several times last year by the NFL. And in fact, he told me he just received a letter yesterday from the National Football League that said one more incident like that and he'll be suspended for 4 games.
Getting mail from Gene Washington is not a good thing.
3rd down and 2. McNabb was looking for his fullback. He found Dorsey Levens, but Dorsey couldn't stay in bound. And a loss of a half yard on the play. Time for the Eagles to punt. It's all smiles, baby. It's preseason for Donovan McNabb.
Well, it's all smiles, Joe, but the one thing that they want to do is they want to be able to get the ball into the end zone. And I can tell you this as a former player, that the preseason really is insignificant until you get to the 3rd game. This game, everybody wants to go out and play well because it's the last opportunity for these starters. And so regardless of what they say following this game, if they don't play well on both sides, they're going to be disappointed.
Again, it's Landeta who has punted in the NFL over 52,000 yards, just shy of 30 miles, and a fair catch called for and brought in by Lamont Brightful after a 37-yarder from Landeta. Chris Redman now on the sideline for Baltimore. He will come back later on in this game. And Mr. Quarterback, what do you think of this young quarterback for the Ravens?
Well, the numbers aren't too bad. You see him fumbling the snap there, and this has kind of been the way his camp's gone. You know, he fumbles a snap, then he comes back, he makes a good play here. You know, just a bad break. It's a tip ball, interception, and that has really been what's happened with him over the last 3 weeks. I like this guy. I know you do as well, Chris, and he's got some real ability, and it's just a matter of him getting some playing time and experience with this group of receivers.
I liked him a lot better last week.
Jeff Blake now takes over. Yes, the same Jeff Blake. And the last thing he wants to see is the Eagles jumping around on the line of scrimmage waiting to blitz him, because he's been looking out of his ear hole more times than not after plays this preseason.
Well, and I think he got smart there and used a little hard count. Levon Kirkland was right up in the line. He was coming in on a blitz, and whether he had hard count called in the huddle or not, he was going to use it when he saw big 93 coming up in there.
Prior to the snap, neutral zone infraction, 93 defense. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
The brakes just don't work the way they used to for Levon Kirkland. Once you get
well, air brakes. I was going to say, he doesn't know that he needs air brakes yet.
One of those runaway ramps.
He's interesting, though. I'll tell you this. Levon Kirkland is a heck of a football player regardless of size, and that's one thing that I think sometimes is overlooked.
Well, he's kind of been a freak to be that big and be that fast and quick. It just doesn't happen. Chester Taylor gets near the 20, and we go down to Pam Oliver. Pam.
All right, thanks a lot, Joe. Here with Ray Lewis. And Ray, you've talked about having to really carry this team on your back. I'm wondering if you're having a backache at this point.
No, not really. You know, I think tonight we came out and responded well. Donovan came out and made a couple of big plays scrambling, but we settled down, you know, down low, you know, by the red zone. So I think these guys are really adjusted to what we need to do to have a successful season.
So how do you have fun, Ray? How do you keep that enthusiasm going? You go from being a Super Bowl caliber team to a team that people have to, you know, spend all day on the depth chart trying to figure out who these people are.
Well, I think the thing is, you know, that we truly come in, and I mean, it's the same thing just like New England Patriots. Nobody gave them a chance last year either. But, you know, they had a lot of guys, veteran guys, who stepped up and showed leadership. And that's what we have to do right now, and the young guys will follow.
Moral of the story, don't count the Ravens out. Thanks, Ray Lewis. Let's go back up to Joe.
All right, Pam. Chris?
I know how he has fun. He counts that $19 million signing bonus he just got.
You could have a lot of fun.
Oh, hours of fun for
Chris,
me.
what was your biggest signing bonus?
Packet of wieners.
3rd down and 1. They give to the up back, and fighting for a first down is Ricard, the fullback. Ballpark Franks?
Yes, they were.
They plump when you cook them.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though. Ray Lewis, you know, contract aside, there are guys that would get that kind of money and really shut it down a little bit. And you wonder how. But Ray Lewis, in these preseason games that we've seen, we watch him on tape, we watch him here tonight, he is 100 miles an hour on every snap. I have never seen a superstar player play and practice the way this guy does.
Fresh set of downs for the Ravens. We haven't seen Blake throw. Stokely came out of the backfield and now makes the catch and gets popped. Up at the 26, a gain of 3.
Yeah, the one thing that the Philadelphia Eagles did this year to improve themselves is they clearly have gotten better in their secondary. Their top 3 draft choices were all defensive backs, and they add that gentleman, Blaine Bishop, a 4-time Pro Bowler, played with Tennessee throughout the course of his career, a very physical player, very bow-legged player. We saw him at practice the other day. Some serious bow legs.
Andy Reid said he told him if we could straighten your legs out, you'd be 6'8". Penalty flag on the play, and on a quick slant, incomplete. And we'll check the marker. So here's Jeff Blake, who suffered injury down in New Orleans, lost his spot to Aaron Brooks. Last year backed him up, getting a chance in Baltimore. Do you think they have any temptation of a quick hook for Redmond if things get off to a bad
Illegal
start?
formation, number 64, offense, not lined up on the line of scrimmage. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
You know, I don't think that they do. I think Chris Redmond is their guy. He knows the system. He's been in it for the last 3 years. It's unfortunate what's happened with Jeff Blake. He was playing exceptionally well that year with New Orleans. He goes down, and then Aaron Brooks comes in, plays well, takes him to the playoffs, and so all of a sudden, Jeff Blake, who has the job, all of a sudden loses it, and now he's relinquished to a backup position, both with New Orleans and then here with the Ravens.
3rd down and 6. Blake in trouble, throws, complete. The first down. That's Travis Taylor with a catch.
Well, it's one thing that Jeff Blake has that Chris Redmond does not, is the ability to move around a little bit in the pocket. And clearly when you're playing a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, you're going to have to move around in the pocket a little bit. Evades a couple of guys and finds the receiver open. That is going to be an issue for Chris Redmond, especially with this offensive line trying to make the transition with Mulatella at the right tackle position.
On first down, Blake stumbled, getting it back to Tellis Redmond, who gets it across the 40, knocked down at the 43, a gain of 6.
You know, when you talk about Chris Redmond and his lack of mobility, he was a guy when he was coming out of college that he was expected to be a first-round pick, and he went to the combine and went through the workouts and timed in the 40, and his 40 time was very, very poor. And that, combined with a bad workout, dropped him out of the 1st round and into the 3rd round. So you make a good point, Chris, and he's obviously not the most mobile guy to be back there.
A toss on 2nd down and 4 to Chester Taylor. Lost his footing, got up, and fights forward for 1 yard.
I'll tell you one thing I do like about Chris Redmond, though, going back to him for just a minute, is the fact that I watched him play at Louisville, and they had just a horrendous defense at Louisville. So they were constantly in the catch-up mode, having to throw the football down the field. And he used to just get beaten to death. Almost every game you'd see him with his chin split open and blood running down his jersey. And you never see the kid come out of the ball game. So he's going to hang tough.
Showing blitz, and here they come. 3rd and 3. Quick throw, incomplete. Intended for Javen Hunter.
The more you watch the Baltimore Ravens, the more you know they really are a one-man team on offense. When Jamal Lewis is in the ball game, they can play a little bit. This offensive line looked fairly decent last week. Jamal Lewis was making some cuts. The question is just how long can a Jamal Lewis stay healthy, and can he come back? We've seen Jamal Anderson, Terrell Davis not be able to do it. Can he?
And if he can't, there's no one else on the roster that's ever played in an NFL game.
That play never happened. False start. And that'll cost the Ravens 5 yards.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 23, offense. 5 yards, 4th down.
And I haven't really seen it written many places, at least. It's the second knee for Jamal Lewis. He blew the other one out in college, so history's not on his side trying to come back. They liked what he showed last week against the Jets. Played 6 or 7 plays, came out, and because this surface is what it is at the vet in Philadelphia, they're holding him out of the game.
I think the real positive about last week was obviously he did well when he was in, but after the game he had no swelling and no effects from the pounding that he took in that game. So that's a positive, but the season will tell.
Beautiful punt by Zastudil, and Brian Mitchell makes a fair catch at the 14-yard line. 52-yard punt with a hang time of over 5 seconds. Philly gets it back. Eagles get the ball back. They lead by 6. Did you know that the Ravens, led by Brian Billick, are in the AFC North? Questions. Can Cordell Stewart overcome that playoff meltdown? And that great defense, Steel Curtain Part 2. Tim Couch and his development. Is he good enough? And then the Bengals. Corey Dillon goes for his 6th straight 1,000-yard season. And, well, Chris, go ahead. I know they're near and dear to your heart. Are they good enough to take that next step? Some people think they might end up in the playoffs.
Well, what is the next step? I think the next step is to get to 500, but I don't think they're going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
From their own 9. Pinkston with a catch up to the 15-yard line, a gain of 6.
Yeah, you also raised the question about Tim Couch, and I had some of those doubts myself. I actually went back and watched 2 or 3 game tapes on Tim Couch last year and was really impressed with the way that he threw the football. Their problem in Cleveland is they can't run the ball an inch. I mean, I watched them in a couple of ball games, and if they had any running game where they could do any play action or anything creative on offense other than just drop back, I think they could be pretty good with that defense.
Yeah, now they're down with Jamar Miller, who's obviously a key defensive player for him, who's out for the season.
2nd down and 4. And the handoff to Westbrook. Got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. So just to go back to Westbrook, this preseason, he has returned kicks, punts. He's been getting the ball out of the backfield, and he makes Andy Reid smile when you bring up the name Brian Westbrook, so much so that he's going to get the ball a lot early this season.
Well, he's going to get it a lot, and it really helps because right now they're a little uncertain as what the dependability and the health is going to be of a guy like Deuce Staley. So Brian Westbrook has emerged, the 3rd-round pick, and he's got great acceleration, great burst. You know, he's only 5'8", but he's 200 pounds, and so he's packed some power, and it's hard for these defenders to see him when he's running in behind that offensive line.
Pass is incomplete. Freddie Mitchell, the intended receiver, and the Eagles are now 0 for 5 on 3rd down tonight.
Well, the Eagles fans aren't in midseason form yet, or else they'd be booing after what they've seen so far out of this offense. Yeah, they'll get it back in shape. They'll get there.
Now, they're worn out because the Cardinals were just here at the vet. They dumped it all on Scott Rowland and J.D. Drew. Takes a little while for the voice to recover.
Don't you love it when he does that baseball stuff?
He likes that baseball, though.
Multi-talented.
Landetta, rightful, with a fair catch back at the Raven 44, and very good starting field position for this drive for Jeff Blake and the Ravens offense. This September, you can get your NFL fix a day earlier with the most outrageous, unpredictable NFL pregame show you've ever seen. Introducing the NFL Show on Fox Sports Net with Michael Irvin, Tony Siragusa, and comedian Tommy Davidson. Pregame shows may never be the same, so start your NFL weekend the night before kickoff with the NFL Show premiering this September on Fox Sports Net.
Are they actually promoting that as a football show?
That is a football-only show. Blake, hello, Chester Taylor. I'd like you to meet Sean Barber.
Sean Barber, really an important addition to this football team. They lost Mike Caldwell as a free agent to the Chicago Bears, and they were hoping that Quentin Caver would be the guy to be able to come in that position, but he just didn't have the coverage ability that Sean Barber does, so they went out and they got him from the Washington Redskins, and I think now the Ravens are convinced of his coverage ability.
Chester Taylor gets to run it. Makes a nice move, but then gets knocked backward by probably the hardest hitting safety outside of John Lynch, Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, and welcome to the NFL. And
wow,
Chester Taylor, I tell you, he we've been talking about Brian Westbrook, but Chester Taylor he's been exceptional, and he's a 6th round pick out of Toledo and has done nothing but turn heads ever since he got into camp, and they really think that this guy is going to be the real deal.
He got his head turned on that one by Brian Dawkins. That was a shot.
3rd down. Incomplete with Ron Johnson, the intended receiver. And it's time for the Ravens to punt.
This may be the hardest hitting pair of safeties in football right now between Brian Dawkins and Blaine Bishop. You can say what you want about their coverage skills or anything else, but those two guys, you're going to pay a price if you come over the middle against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, we'll have a special teams coach, John Harbaugh, that won't be happy. He sends his punt return unit on the field, and some guys weren't ready. Let's look at the NFC East divisional preview. The Redskins in that good defense, LeVar Arrington. Chance for stardom. Michael Strahan and the Giants can carry Collins hold on to the football. He had an NFL record 23 fumbles last year. And then it's Quincy Carter who's at the controls for the Dallas Cowboys. He's in a battle, at least through the press, Troy Aikman, with Chad Hutchinson to be the quarterback, but after snooping around there the last couple of weeks, that's Quincy Carter's job.
That's Quincy Carter's job, yeah. And if they're not careful, they're gonna upset something that they've got going. They feel good about their team going into the season. You know, obviously Philadelphia is the team to beat in that division, but you look at the Washington Redskins and their defense and their set of linebackers, and you know, of course, Steve Spurrier is getting all the attention with his offense, but I think that's going to be a team to keep an eye on. They could really do some damage in the East and around the league this year.
Especially, you add Marvin Lewis as the new defensive coordinator coming from Baltimore. If he can do half of what he did with the Ravens, they only have to score about 21 points a game to win.
Penalty flag on this punt. Another good one from Zastudil, and a fair catch, and now Mitchell gets out of the way, but we'll check the flag. And this is against Baltimore.
Think there's any shot at all at a pay-per-view event between Warren Sapp and Michael Strahan, some of the war of words flying about the sack record down there? Because I would pay for that. Forget Tyson Lewis. You put those two guys in the ring.
Illegal motion, number 57 offense. Also, illegal man downfield, number 57 offense. The motion is declined. The man downfield is accepted.
Now,
5 yards, 4th down.
Now, on that topic, Chris, obviously, you know, Warren Sapp, his stance is that he shouldn't count the last sack because of what happened in that last ball game with Brett Favre. Did he go down? Did he not go down? Should it have counted? And the asterisks and all that. I did that game, and to me, looking at it, you know, Brett Favre, you know, laid down, and what does that mean? I don't know, but everybody has a different interpretation as to what it should mean.
Zastudil. Another good punt, amount of hang time. Chance for Mitchell on the return. Tripped up and down at the 40, but I see another penalty flag.
Well, I've got to say, just to finish that thought, that I didn't like it too much at the time. I mean, these records to me are a little bit precious. People, Mark Gastineau in this case is the guy that held the record, probably deserved to still have it at this point. But, you know, it's really not Michael Strahan's fault. He didn't have anything to do with it, so it's tough to lay any of the blame on him.
It picked up the flag, so the Eagles and McNabb will go to work just shy of their own 40 at their own 39.
Well, this may be their last opportunity here in the first half to have possession of the ball and try to go down and get a touchdown. This is a very important drive right now for this offensive unit.
Westbrook is in the backfield again for the Eagles, and he gets it on first down. Nothing. Maybe got a yard. The ball came out, and we'll see who comes away with it. The Ravens say they have it. Westbrook lost it. Westbrook got it back.
Well, that's one of the things that Westbrook is going to have to learn in the National Football League. These defenders are coached, and they do a great job of stripping the football. They got him there. They got a hand in, and the ball comes out. And when you're running up inside in between the tackles, you have got to be able to get over the ball and secure it.
Second down at 9. Pinkston with a little stiff arm, forced out of bounds at the 45 as he was working on Alvin Porter, who really struggled last week against the Jets for the Ravens.
Yeah, he had a tough game last week, and you know, Todd Pinkston on that reception there is a guy who has gotten better each year, and this year he's really kind of come into his own. He finally has an understanding of what Andy Reid is asking of him within the offense. You know, not a real big guy. I mean, 6'2", but he's 170 pounds. You can see his legs right there. He ain't no calves, but he's a great strider. He's got great range, and he's been making plays.
Third down and 4, and the pass is incomplete. Chad Lewis, and now the fans are getting on.
There they go. They're warming up now. Todd Pinkston, though, actually is my favorite player in the league. He makes me look like a stud.
Yeah.
He makes you look like a bodybuilder.
Yes, he does. A lot of protein shakes for me lately.
Well, look, Andy Reid wanted control of this franchise, and he got it. And the question is, are they asking McNabb to do too much, and have they given McNabb enough help with other personnel to make this a Super Bowl contender? As Landeta gets away a good one, and Lamont Brightful takes it at the 11. Brings it up to the 20, and that's all.
And I think they have, Joe. Andy Reid, after having been in Green Bay and the quarterback coach with Brett Favre, he understands what it takes in order for a quarterback to be successful, and he gives them opportunities. He gives them opportunities to go out and play loose and throw the football. Is that too much? Maybe for some it is, but for Donovan McNabb, I don't think it is. He's a mature guy. He's responded well, and over the course of this season, you're going to continue to see this offense improve.
And let's just tell the truth about this football team. They haven't gotten to the championship game a season ago because of their offense. They got there because of their great defense.
Redmond back in the lineup at quarterback for Baltimore. Working the 2-minute drill. The throw behind and caught by Travis Taylor. Great adjustment and a first down inside Eagle territory.
Well, everybody's been on Travis Taylor saying that he hasn't lived up to expectations. Take a look at this play right between two defenders, and this is about as dangerous a catch as you'll see in the NFL, going right between the safety and the corner. Tremendous effort that time by Travis Taylor.
Yeah, I think Chris Redmond, what I was impressed with there is he dropped back, hit his 5th step, and got rid of the football.
There are only 2 minutes left in this first half. You can consider yourselves warned. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, and Howie will have first half analysis plus scores and highlights from all of the preseason action around the NFL tonight. Also, our Fox Sports ticker will update you with all the stats. And here's an opportunity for Chris Redmond to finish the first half on a positive note. Down only 6-0, 2 minutes left. The Ravens with a ball inside Eagle territory. First down throw over the middle. That's Heap. That's a broken tackle. That's a first down. inside the Philadelphia 30.
And Rashard Cook of the Philadelphia Eagles, a guy that's getting a chance at the nickel linebacker position, blew that opportunity. This is a big night for him. The coaches admitted they wanted to try him at that nickel linebacker, but that time Todd Heap not only made the catch but escaped.
Yeah, and as a nickel safety, you know, if he can't cover a tight end, he's going to have some problems.
It's first down. And it's Chester Taylor. He lowers his head and brings it to Troy Vincent. Gain of 5. Taylor's sick of getting hit the other way. He wanted to deliver a blow, and Troy Vincent was on the other end of it.
Well, that's why you go to 3 straight Pro Bowls right there, though. You have Troy Vincent, one of the best cover corners in the league. And when he has to, comes up and sticks you as well. All these Philadelphia Eagles players, very good tacklers.
2 timeouts left for the Ravens. 2nd down and 5. Blitz coming off the edge and brought down in the backfield by Sean Barber. Is Chester Taylor, and a timeout called for by the Baltimore Ravens. They are left with only 1. Good play by Barber. This weekend, FX presents RFK, an original movie about the life of Robert F. Kennedy. Behind the headlines, behind closed doors, is the story you've never been told. RFK, premiering this weekend only on FX. Check your local listings. So, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you're Andy Reid and you've watched your offense sputter here in the first half, you have to be a bit concerned.
Well, I think you are concerned, and I also know what Andy's going to say coming out of this game. He's going to say that, hey, we didn't game plan, we're not that worried, we got to evaluate the young players that we wanted to evaluate, but I can tell you this firsthand that they wanted to come out here and look a lot sharper than what they have. And I would think as players, they're going to be a little concerned now when they go into that season opener, because they really have not played that well in these preseason games.
The Eagles start at Tennessee, then go to Washington. That is nearly picked off. Poor throw, bad decision. Al Harris stepped in front.
Well, and that would have changed everything right there. If Al Harris is able to make that interception, he's going 80 yards with a touchdown, and that would have made everybody smile and feel good going in at halftime.
You know, I think this is part of the reason why people were so surprised that the Eagles drafted 2 cornerbacks in the first 2 rounds, because they do have a guy like Al Harris as their 3rd corner, and they really do consider him to be a starter.
Really a good play by Brandon Stokely to avoid the interception as Matt Stover knocks it through. And with that, Baltimore Ravens are on the board, down by only 3.
But I think, Chris, one of the reasons that they did draft those defensive backs in this year's draft, and you know, we brought it up when we were talking with Andy Reid, did you do that in order to compete with the St. Louis Rams? And you know, his answer was no. But I've got to believe that when you got beat by the Rams in the championship game last year, in order to go to the Super Bowl right now, the Rams are the ones with the X on their chest. So you do whatever you've got to do in order to be able to compete with those guys. And they did acknowledge that by drafting these young players, it allows them to do some things in the secondary, match up with some teams, play some more man-to-man coverage and some of the more zone dogs, and that fits perfectly in how you would defend a team like the St. Louis Rams.
You know, and Andy Reid did admit that, hey, we're old in the secondary. We do have guys that have been around. The last highly rated cornerback that they drafted was Bobby Taylor back in 1995. And the other thing is, when you're drafting 26 because you've made it to the playoffs, you are forced just a bit to take the best available player, and they thought it was Lito Shepherd.
Right. Forget the Rams. How about having to play Washington twice?
It's a great point.
I mean, you got Spurrier in that offense and the wide receivers trying to match up.
See the attention Spurrier's gotten already in this league?
In this game, this broadcast. After hitting a 44-yard field goal, it was J.R. Jenkins with the kickoff and returning it out near the 30. It was Mitchell. So it was Stover who hit the 44-yard field goal, and then getting a look at J.R. Jenkins here at the end of the first half. The Ravens send their backup kicker out to see what he would do, kicking it deep. And now with 31 seconds left, we'll see how the Eagles want to play it. They do have a couple of timeouts remaining.
Well, I'd hope right here that the Eagles will go to a 2-minute offense, something they don't get a chance to work on in the preseason very often.
but underthrown is Thrash.
Yeah, and that's just rushed right there on Donovan's part. He had time to throw. He looked a little nervous in the pocket. Had Thrash wide open. You're not going to find a receiver any more open than that in this league, but it looked to me like Donovan just rushed the throw, and he's not feeling quite as comfortable as what he should back in the pocket.
They just have not had anything working down the field at all in this ball game.
And remember, this is not a great Ravens defense.
Not even close.
This is a different team. And it's a 6-3 game. McNabb steps up. Pinkston with a catch. And the Eagles will spend one of their 2 remaining timeouts. That had something on it.
Yeah, that was much better there. Donovan stepping up into the pocket, giving himself a lane to throw it, and that's just pitch and catch right there.
You know, you quarterbacks, as soon as something goes wrong, all of a sudden you go find the weakest link on the defense and you go get them, don't you?
Based on last week, that would be Alvin Porter.
It surely was, and he was wide open. But those are the kind of plays that they really need out of Todd Pinkston down the field. You know, everybody in the league is going to this small ball now, very conservative, high percentage, all that West Coast stuff, but you still need a few of those gash plays down the field, and that's what the Eagles never have had enough of.
Stay there! Stay there, Bart!
On first down. Near sideline and Levens, who will hop out of bounds. 11 seconds remaining, and the ball now inside Ravens territory, a completion of 7 yards.
Well, Levens shows his experience and veteran ability right there, making the catch, getting as many yards as he can, and getting out of bounds.
You know, you don't have to go very far if you're the Eagles and you have a guy like David Akers standing on your sideline. We saw him make a 60-yard field goal during warm-ups, kicking this direction, which is into the wind. 4 out of 7 in his career from 50 or more yards. He's signed through 2007. That's what they think of him. On second down, quick throw and catch, Pinkston. And the ball is now resting at the 37, so they are within David Akers' field goal range. And they'll send him onto the field. Gain of 11 on that throw. Just so you know, David Akers' career long is 53 yards. So far, 2 for 2 tonight. This will be a 55-yard try. Got enough leg. Missed it wide. Into the breeze here at the vet. Akers had plenty of leg. With 2 seconds left, the Ravens will get the ball back.
And if this had been the Super Bowl from a year ago, they would have just run those 2 seconds off the clock, wouldn't they, Troy?
Well,
remember that at the end of the game? It's like 2 seconds, the ball's dead. Just let it go. Let's shoot the confetti off.
Well, and now they've implemented a new rule that the most time that can come off a clock on a field goal attempt is 5 seconds. So they were kicking the ball there with 7 seconds on the clock. They knew, the Ravens knew, that if he didn't make it, that there would be 2 seconds on the clock for them to try to do something here with the football.
So now the Ravens may take a shot down the field, hope for a defensive penalty. See if Redmond gets enough time to let it develop. Nope. Look out for Darwin Walker. And a little shot of adrenaline for Darwin as he evolves his way into the dressing room. That's the end of the first half. The score, 6-3 Eagles. Stay tuned for the Visa halftime show with JB, Terry, and Howie right after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
The Visa Halftime Report is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere NFL fans want to be.
Well, the first half has been a battle of field goal kickers as the Eagles lead by the score of 6-3 at the half in Philadelphia. As we welcome you back to Los Angeles in Studio 2A for the Visa halftime. Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, yours truly, James Brown. And you know what? Prescient remarks by the clairvoyant one that you were expecting this kind of half?
You know what? I don't blame the people out there. That's some boring football. We don't even have a highlight to show you. And in my 19 years of television, this is the first time, folks, we don't have a highlight. We don't even have a special play out of the first half.
I don't think the network was looking for that from you at halftime. And second, they're playing it close to the vest.
See, that's unlike me. I'll get off that fence and jump out in there.
Close to the vest.
You get out there.
We'll find out if Terry has any kissing to do as we talk about the highlights that are forthcoming in the game between the Bears and the Jaguars. Howie Long's comments last
week got the Bears a new hotel in Champaign, Illinois. No longer an hour 15 bus ride. I like bus rides. Chris Chandler completes this one to Marcus Robinson coming off of that ACL injury last year. 26-yard touchdown, 4 receptions, 43 yards in the first half for Robinson. 13-0 Bears over the Jaguars. This, my friends, is fun. Dante Culpepper, let it happen, baby. Down that field. There it is, 67 yards. Don't forget Mike Tice, head coach of the Vikings, said that this year there would be the Randy Moss ratio. That is 40% of all offensive plays would go to Randy Moss. I said it right, 14-3, Vikings over the Titans.
And we're happy.
I know, we're real happy. Tom Brady, MVP of the Super Bowl, to the left, to the right. Taken down by whom, Howard?
Well, Julius Peppers.
Well, Julius Peppers. Show me some energy, son.
Well,
take it out there.
Julius Peppers. Speaking of Julius Peppers, Howie, with a little energy, your thoughts?
Well, Julius Peppers is a heck of a football player coming out of college. A lot of potential, a lot of upside. And by the way, for those of you tuning in north of Alabama, that was ratio.
That's what I said.
Randy Moss ratio.
Did I not say ratio?
You got it right.
Thank
you said
you
absolutely
Yeah,
correct.
I like Julius Peppers. He gets some coaching.
Premier?
He decides he wants to be the guy. He could be a special guy. Not a premier guy right now.
Just special.
Speaking of special, turning now to baseball news, and for a change, the news is good. According to published reports, representatives for the Players Union and the owners have made significant progress over the last 2 days on a labor deal that would avoid a players' strike currently set for August 30th, a week from today. In addition, the two sides have officially come to terms on at least one issue: steroid testing. For the first time in baseball history, all the players will now have to undergo mandatory random drug tests. Well, folks, the NFL is not going on strike anytime soon, and we're getting ready for Week 1 in a big way. Joining us on opening day, former Cowboys and Dolphins head coach Jimmy Johnson joins us in the studio. Jimmy, we'll rap about what kind of challenges the Redskins, Steve Spurrier, will face, the improving Dallas Cowboys, and who he thinks will make it to the Super Bowl. All of that coming up in 2 weeks on September the 8th on Fox NFL Sunday. Opening day is just days away. Jimmy Johnson here in the studio.
You know, Jimmy Johnson calls the 9th grade his senior year.
With that remark, some will go to local news. Others will come back here for a 9th grade discussion of favorites in the AFC.
It's been a battle of the kickers. 6-3. Let's go down to the sideline and Pam Oliver.
All right, Joe. Andy Reid pretty much confirmed Troy's earlier statements. He said he wished the offense did a better job completing its drives, but also that he feels that even though this is the preseason, that group should have made a better showing tonight. Brian Billick pretty much reserved his comments for his young quarterback. He says he likes Chris Redmond to take some shots down the field, but that some other guys have to step up. Back to you.
All right, Pam, there is Chris Redmond right behind you.
That's all right, Odd.
Probably could hear the report. And J.R. Jenkins will kick it away for the Ravens. Mr. Mitchell. Year after year, he's one of the best in the NFL. Ryan Mitchell returns it 26 yards. And the Eagles offense will go to work. Well, look, what's the big deal about putting the ball in the end zone? I know you want to score points if it's the regular season. That's a priority. But I was at least impressed with the way the Eagles were able to move the ball, let's say, between the 20s. You guys were not.
Well, and I think both teams moved the ball pretty well, and that's good. But ultimately, it comes down to being able to score points. And when it's one thing to get down there, but you got to find a way to get it in. And when you don't, it just sends up a lot of alarms.
That's Freddie Mitchell with a catch from A.J. Feely. And we get a look at a guy that's really, Chris, trying to grasp this offense and maintain a hold on the number 3 spot behind Donovan McNabb.
That was a great microphone save right there. A kick save and a beauty right there. You know, the other thing I think we should give Mike Nolan a little bit of credit, the defensive coordinator of the Ravens here. They come in there without their star players, McCrary and Bulwer and some of those guys, and yet they look pretty sharp tonight.
Westbrook hasn't done much tonight. He gets back to the line of scrimmage. That's about all.
Yeah, we put the kiss of death on him, didn't we?
Well, we came in celebrating the person that is Brian Westbrook, and now we give you a look at the numbers for A.J. Feely. And when you talk to Andy Reid, he'll say, look, this guy's been here now for a couple of years, and he should have a better grasp of what we're trying to do. And because he doesn't, Tim Hasselbeck has a chance to end up as the number 3 quarterback for Andy Reid. Eagles need a timeout to talk about it. Second down coming up.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Autotrader.com. Sell your car fast on the ultimate automotive classified site.
You want to be in Pennsylvania, you want to be in Jersey. You can make up your mind on that bridge. 6-3, Philadelphia leads it. Ben Franklin Bridge all lighted up, all lit up. Chris Collinsworth, we got to stay sharp, baby. There are guys out there trying to make the team tonight, and it's time for A.J. Feely to step up and do something. Okay. Second down and 11. Feely throws, and it's incomplete, and Feely was plastered by Adalius Thomas.
There's your guy, Troy.
Well, there's the guy, yeah. It shows some of that athletic ability right there. He's down here, you know, as we mentioned earlier. Sometimes he'll stand up. There he's in the down position, defensive end, and just gets inside. Nobody there even putting a hand on him.
So there's the incompletion. That makes it 3rd down and 11, and realize that the Eagles are 0 for 6 on 3rd down tonight. Trying to set up a screen, and it is knocked right back into Feely's face. Salem Simon was the one who got up and did it.
Well, I think that's some of what Andy Reid talks about with Feely. When you're trying to set up a screen, there are some things that you can do to try and work around a guy that's blitzing in, a pump fake. There's several different moves that you can try and do to get the ball out there. They're just sort of easily swatted down, didn't fool anybody.
In a battle with the 40-year-old Sean Landeta is Steve Cheek. He's got a live leg and gets off a good one. That's Brightful from just outside the 10. And he crosses the 15 with it. A penalty flag on the play. And it looks like a procedure. 44-yard punt. See if the Ravens want to make the Eagles do it again.
Special teams, one of the more interesting things to watch during the course of a preseason game, because literally guys are winning and losing jobs based on what they
Illegal
do.
Formation, number 38 of the kicking team, not on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
There's John Harbaugh, the special teams coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's exactly right. So many of these guys, they're not going to be in starting roles on offense or defense, and so the only way that they're going to make this team in a backup position on offense or defense is contributing on special teams. They have to be starting on those units.
And you know what makes it so hard is all of these guys were stars in college. They didn't play special teams in college, so it's a whole new thing.
So another chance for Steve Cheek. Mike Bartram, a backup tight end, is a long snapper. More of a line drive punt, and Brightful will watch it bounce backward. So the Ravens have it. It will rest at their own 33 after only a 30-yard punt. Along with Richie Zients, our producer, and Artie Kempner, our director, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Chris Collinsworth, Pam Oliver with you from Philadelphia. It takes a lot of people to cover these games and beam them across the country.
It was a full bus.
It's a 1st down for the Ravens from their own 34-yard line. And Redmond still in the game, trying to get something going. Wide open Stokely, and and overthrown just a bit. Stokely had his man beat, but incomplete.
Well, he definitely had a shot at Stokely. Sheldon Brown here, one of the rookie corners. Just Stokely doesn't really give much, just ran right by him, has a chance, and he's lucky actually right there, Sheldon Brown, that he doesn't get called for face guard. He never turns and tries to make a play on the ball.
But he does have pretty good catch-up speed, and that's apparent with that play right there.
Now 2nd down and 10. And a gain of only 2. Chester Taylor took the ball from Redmond. Barry Gardner made the stop.
Chester Taylor was drafted in the 6th round, and he said he watched the draft the first day, and the second day he watched about the 5th round, and he said, that's enough, I'm not going to do it. He said his mom called in from the other room, they're not going to draft you, you're not going to get taken, and it's all over now.
Chester said his mom said, hey, this thing's starting to wind down. But he was eventually picked out of Toledo. Over the middle, incomplete. A bit too high for Travis Taylor. Penalty flag on the play. Back in the secondary.
Yeah, on the back side of that play.
Illegal contact, number 41, defense. That's a 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
William Hampton, one of the backup cornerbacks, was guilty.
That's a little bit surprising that they would make that call. Hampton on the backside of the play, and Redmond wasn't even looking that way. He was working to his front side, and they don't normally make that call unless the quarterback is throwing or looking in that vicinity.
So that's a big penalty. Looked like a missed opportunity on 3rd down for Baltimore, and they get a fresh set from their own 40. Wide open is Hunter. Javen falls forward for about 9.
Well, we still have the Ravens' first-string offense in the ball game right now, and they need to get something put together. Javen Hunter is a young man that returned that kickoff 99 yards last week. Really adds a dimension of speed to this team, and they can use a little bit of it. He also short-armed the ball last week in the ball game that could have been a touchdown.
The running game for the Ravens has done nothing, and that's a major disappointment for Baltimore as they try to take some of the pressure off Redmond. 2nd down, play action, and Redmond lost the ball, got it back. Took it off the dribble, and the ball's back inside the 40. A 3rd and long coming up. N.D. Kalu with pressure.
Well, and he comes back, and he's looking for Alan Ricard in the flat, the fullback, and it just falls right out of his hands. And you know, a lot of things can happen in these games like this when it's real humid. Sometimes the ball will come out wet. And
he over-patted it, Troy. He patted it too hard. He wanted to pat it one time, and he knocked it right out of his hand.
Just so the
I'm
Raiders,
not going to give him that much credit.
Just so the Raiders and their fans know, that was a fumble.
There you go.
It's a 3rd sack of the night for the Eagles, who came in with none. Now they blitz. The throw is behind Taylor, and he's brought down about a yard shy of a first down. Just shy of midfield as well. 4th down coming up.
And that's one of the things that Jimmy Johnson likes to do, their defensive coordinator, that he likes to bring blitz in 3rd down situations to force the offense to throw the high routes. And Jim Johnson does as good a job as anybody in this league as a defensive coordinator in getting his guys cranked up and ready to play. And one thing he will do is he will come after the quarterback and punish him. And there's no one that studies offensive protections more than he does during a week in knowing how he can go after that quarterback.
4th down and 1, and the Ravens will punt. Zastudil. Fluttering kick, Ryan Mitchell. Lets it take a bounce, and it's down inside the 20 at the 18-yard line. Eagles get it back. Troy Aikman was amused by his own acting.
You never look better, partner. Never.
Here's Lito Shepherd on that last punt, and you watch him, and as a first-round guy, he may not get a lot of playing time in the secondary this year, but one thing he will be asked to do is play special teams, and I think he's got that down pretty good already.
Those Florida guys are just nasty,
aren't they? Tough, aren't they?
They're just tough-minded.
You always know they're going to be a physical bunch.
Give me room up here. Give me room.
The good part is you just can't get enough of Boss Skaggs. You'll be humming that on your way back to Cincinnati or wherever you live, Chris.
On the drive back tonight.
Second down after Brian Westbrook got 4. 2nd and 6.
You know, one of the things that the Eagles looked at this season was trying to pick up Warrick Dunn. They really did make a little bit of a push to get him. Of course, ended up with the Atlanta Falcons, but they're hoping that Brian Westbrook can fill that role.
A.J. Feely a little too far out in front of Freddie Mitchell, and we go down to Pam Oliver with Donovan McNabb.
Okay, thanks a lot, Joe. Let me talk to Donovan about this offense. Tell me the truth. Are you guys as concerned as probably fans are at this point that the offense has done absolutely nothing during the preseason?
Well, this is a preseason. We're not concerned at all. You know, we got out there, we moved the ball, had some positive plays, and that's what we're excited about. Chemistry and stuff is going to click automatically once the season starts, so that's not a problem. So we're excited about what's going on. It's an opportunity for the rest of the guys to play. We went out there, moved the ball down in the first half, and we're excited.
Tell me where you want to get better this year. What, you know, going into your 4th year, tell me what you really want to accomplish this year.
Well, we just want to continue to improve and, you know, show some consistency. And when we step out there on the field, if it's running the ball or passing the ball, whatever it may be, more of a balanced attack this year. And that's something that we're definitely going to concentrate on. If we continue to have that mindset and go out and just execute, then...
I didn't say we, I said you.
Well, I mean, it's all of us together. It's not just me out there. You know, what I have to do being the leader out there, I have to take control and make sure that I be a big leader for those guys, get the guys in the right position, and just execute.
Thanks, Donovan.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time. Let's go back upstairs to Joe Buck.
Thank you for having us, you should have said. Brightful gets it inside Philadelphia territory. He got a hit, I believe, from the punter Cheek, but he got a hit out of bounds, and it's a penalty flag on the play. Cheek got absolutely smoked over on the sideline. A flag was thrown, and we'll check the marker, and Cheek, who's in a battle with Sean Landetta.
Late hit, number 19 of the kicking team. That'll be enforced from the end of the play. 15 yards, first down.
So it was Sean Morey
timeout,
who made the late hit, and this will give the Ravens outstanding field position. They're down by only 3 early second half.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot. By WebMD, the place America comes for healthcare answers. And by Dockers, go khaki with Stain Defender.
It's a 6-3 Philadelphia lead, and we'll show you a block that was thrown by one of the tight ends for the Ravens by the name of Terry Jones as he goes after Steve Cheek, the punter, on that last punt.
Oh. Wow. You know, you'd like to think as punter you're not going to get hit like that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable right here. The punishment that he takes. I'm surprised actually to see him get up.
You know, there were a couple of hits. There was a bit of a blow to the head on the tackle, and then you get that block on the other end. We talked about it earlier. Honest to goodness, for a guy like Terry Jones Jr., a hit like that may well have made the team for him.
That and a fine from the league.
I think he'll take it.
Well, the Ravens start with it on the Philadelphia 38. This is Blake Tellis Redmond on the draw play. Nice yardage. He got 5 on first down.
Well, and one thing about this Ravens team is they're going to have a solid offensive line. You know, and you talk about Chester Taylor and Tellis Redmond, and they get Jamal Lewis back. They're going to be fine. They're an experienced group up front, and they're going to be able to move some people out, and that's going to be imperative for Chris Redmond.
Second down and 5. Blake Redmond, a couple over the left side, and Troy speaketh the truth, because if they can't run the ball, Chris Redmond has no chance to succeed.
You know, the flip side of that is you have to be a little bit impressed with what Philadelphia has done defensively, stopping the run tonight. That has been their major issue. And you talk to Jim Johnson, their defensive coordinator, he doesn't worry about the teams that come out and you know they're going to run, like Tampa and Chicago. What he worries about are passing teams like the Rams. He gets into their zone blitz, pulling the defensive lineman out, and all of a sudden Marshall Faulk gouges them.
It is all backups in there now for Philadelphia. And before the play, penalty flags.
Well, the Eagles were showing blitz there. They were going to bring the house, and they got some movement along that offensive front.
Ball start, number 77, offense. 5 yards, third down.
It's Ethan Brooks. There's the starting offensive line, and they are catching their breath over on the sideline. And there's the day on the ground for Baltimore. That's not going to get it done.
No, that won't get it done. But I think everybody with the Ravens organization is confident that once they get into this regular season, that's not going to be a problem. That's going to be one of their real strengths.
Third down and 10 for Blake. Shows a strong arm, but overthrows Hambrick. And it's fourth down coming up. We'll see what the Ravens want to do. They're in that in-between yardage. But since it's 4th and 10, they are going to punt it as Zastudil comes onto the field for the Ravens.
And this is exactly how Brian Billick is going to play it during the course of the regular season. He would love to be in a 6-3 ball game with teams like the Philadelphia Eagles at this point. Not too happy with Jeff Blake on that one, though.
Mitchell waiting for the punt. He'll let it go. Another huge hit down near the goal line, and it's downed by the Ravens inside the Philadelphia 5. They'll put the ball just outside the 2. Well covered by the punt team.
Reggie Waddell is going to get see, that's it. There's an issue when you're looking at the football. Guy like Brian Mitchell, who's been around for a long time, saw some raw meat hanging on this hook.
And why not take a shot at a guy? You've called for the fair catch, but you move away from where the punt's coming down, and you're picking off a guy who might very well down it inside the 5-yard line.
Usually you don't call for the fair catch, so you allow yourself the opportunity to block like that.
On first down, the throw and the completion to Nate Brown. He got it across the 5 to the 6. It's back and better than ever. The undisputed champion of pregame shows returns as JB, Terry, and Howie kick off another NFL season. Joining them in week 1 will be their old friend Jimmy Johnson, for his old friend as well. He won titles in both college and the pros, and now he'll talk about what Steve Spurrier has to do to convince the Redskins and the rest of the league that they can win at this level. Fox NFL Sunday returns September 8th at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox. Second down, Feely throws into the waiting arms of Bernardo Harris, a former Packer, and he had a touchdown looking at him, but he forgot one thing.
Well, Bernardo Harris, as you said, coming from Green Bay, where he spent 7 years and led the team last year in Green Bay in tackles, and not really much of a cover guy, but he gets one right here, right in his hands, and that would have been a touchdown if he's able to haul that one in.
Pressure in his face. Probably caused that throw, but once again, A.J. Feely not doing a whole lot in this ball game to impress the coaching staff.
On third down, a quick throw out of the backfield to one of the fullbacks. That's Jamie Reeder, and he's brought out of bounds short of a first down, and this crowd is even getting restless with the backups.
Yeah, and there's a real battle at that fullback position for this Eagles team, and they've got Cecil Martin, who is the incumbent starter, and Jamie Reeder, and then another guy, a free agent player, Jason McKee, who's just been exceptional and has caught the coach's attentions. But Andy Reid came into camp and opened it up and said, hey, we're gonna give this fullback position an open merit going into training camp, see who comes out. So far it's anybody's position.
Good to see Steve Cheek back in the game, and he gets away a beauty. Rifle from the 35. Up the middle of the field and brought down at the 44. One of the best hits of the night so far came from one of the best special teams player in NFL history. From Brian Mitchell to Waddell, Ravens have it down by 3. 6.5 left in quarter number 3, and the Ravens will go back to work. Our good friend Hank Stram would describe this game as an old-fashioned taffy pull. Back and forth, few points.
And Hank Stram may be on his way to the Hall of Fame.
That would be fantastic.
Sure would.
Play action pass. Blake throws over the middle. Wide open. Johnson. And he's got a first down near the Philadelphia 25. That's Ron Johnson, who has made a couple of nice catches in this game.
Yeah, that's Ron Johnson, their 4th-round pick out of Minnesota, and he's going to be their 3rd receiver when they get into the regular season. And he's been able to make some of these plays throughout camp, and his learning curve is obviously he's got a ways to go, but he's done a nice job of learning the system. You see right there his ability to go over the middle and reach up and expose his ribs and do it without reservation.
You also see the arm strength and ability of Jeff Blake. Good fake from Blake. End zone, Hunter, touchdown. Javen Hunter, and with that, the Ravens jump on top.
Reminded of Boomer Esiason and the Cincinnati Bengals. Don't forget that Jeff Blake was a quarterback in Cincinnati a long time, and they really emphasized the play action fake. Watch it here. The head ducked down, and now you've got one-on-one on the outside. And Javen Hunter now beginning to make a name for himself. This kid was a high school all-world player. Went to Notre Dame and really never lived up to the expectations there. But the last 2 weeks now here with the Ravens, 2 big plays for this football team.
Stover makes it a 10-6 Raven lead. Go ahead. You can say Boomer Esiason if you want to get his name out there. But why don't you say your guy Bruce Coslett, who's now running the offense down in Dallas? Isn't that really his signature?
And what about Sam White's too? Can I get all my guys in one fell swoop here?
Get them all in.
Well, and again, you go back to what makes that work is that, and during the course of this season, will be the Ravens and their ability to run the football. And I would certainly, as I said earlier, think that behind that line and then Jamal Lewis, assuming that he can stay healthy, that they will be able to run the football, which in return will open up a lot of those big plays on the play action fakes.
Just to reiterate, the Ravens have rushed 18 times for only 37 yards, yet the play fake worked, and Hunter was left after plenty of time for Blake wide open for the touchdown.
One of the great things that they do in Cincinnati and around the league, watch the way the offensive line comes off on this play. They're not pass setting, they're run blocking. They're coming off, and that makes the defensive linemen think that all of a sudden this is really a run. Now the linebackers step up. There's no help for the safety. Touchdown Ravens.
So Hunter ends up in the back of the end zone with the catch, and it was an impressive drive for the Ravens. Quick, covered only 46 seconds off the clock, and Blake made 2 very good throws. One completion to Ron Johnson, and then the touchdown throw of 25 yards to Javen Hunter. J.R. Jenkins will kick it away, and Westbrook is waiting deep. You think Waddell would like to get a shot at Westbrook before the end of the night? Let's take a look at the AFC East. And we look at a division that many consider the best in the NFL. Can Tom Brady and the Pats do it again? Now it's Ricky Williams, the running back threat for the Miami Dolphins. Gary Bradshaw talking about what they have the potential of doing. Vinny Testaverde's had a very good preseason, likes what he has around him. And then it was like a hero's welcome for Drew Bledsoe as he takes over in Buffalo. 5:45 remaining in the third quarter. And Feely hands to Westbrook. Little shake and bake and a move for a first down, a gain of 12.
You know, you talk about the AFC East and what's going to happen within that division, and you're right. Vinny Testaverde has been outstanding in the preseason, and a team who you probably weren't going to expect a whole lot from out of that division now looks like a team that they could possibly compete if you go off of what they did in the preseason. But I still believe that Miami is going to be the team. I just think they're going to be able to put it together with North Turner as offensive coordinator along with Ricky Williams.
So now Troy's talked about his guy, Chris.
And we're covered.
Feely over the middle. His best throw of the night. A completion to Nate Brown. Up at the 48, a gain of 16.
I tell you, I still have to take the New England Patriots in that division. I was so impressed with that football team in the Super Bowl. I have never seen one team physically beat up another team like they did in that ball game. They came out in the first quarter and just, it looked like they didn't even care if they got to the football or not. They'd go for the interception. They were just going to take those wide receivers out.
In what was a big mismatch going in. Into Raven territory, a gain of 4. Brian Westbrook right up the middle.
You know, you look at A.J. Feely, and he's getting an opportunity now to come out here and play some. And I was talking to him before the game, and he hasn't gotten to play, and he went into training camp, and he really felt like he started out having a great camp. Things were going well for him. Then he hit a big lull, and he's been struggling. And as he told me, he said, I just feel like I'm in the tank. And tonight he's hoping to crawl out with a good performance.
So far his performance 4 for 8. 5 for 9 as he completes it to Freddie Mitchell, and that's good for another Philadelphia first down.
Yeah, and here Freddie Mitchell, he's a guy that they definitely have to get going this year. First-round pick last year out of UCLA, and they're wanting to use him more in the slot receiver position. He will, though, line up outside. And I know this, that Todd Pinkston had a very good camp. He's going to be a starter. James Thrash, he's going to be a starter. But I know that they want to see Freddie Mitchell emerge so that he can compete and get on the field more than just on third downs.
Nobody wants to see Mitchell succeed more than Andy Reid. That's his guy. As Feely airs it out, Mitchell the intended receiver, and it's knocked away by Waddell. So no longer seeing stars after that hit by Mitchell. Waddell makes a good play.
Well, and it's a good play by Reggie Waddell, and he's one of those guys that's on the fence right now. You know, talking with the coaches, they're going to, you know, cut downs are Tuesday. They're going to cut this thing down to 65 guys, and for the most part, the coaches know who they're going to get rid of. But there are guys like Reggie Waddell, you know, like Sean Birdsong, and those plays like that for Reggie Waddell are only going to help him have a chance to make this squad.
What was Feely thinking about on that play? He wasn't even close, though.
Second down and 10. Quick throw. Mitchell. Another first down.
All right. I like that one. I like Freddie Mitchell coming over the middle like there and making those tough catches. You know, he's a guy, he'll carry on a conversation out there now. But Freddie Mitchell is going to have to make these kind of plays. He's not a burner. He's not a guy that's just going to stretch the field vertically. So he's going to have to come across the middle, and that's such a huge part of this offense. He really needs to be more of a factor if he's going to be the slot receiver, and that's where they expect him to be.
So A.J. Feely, who backed up Harrington at Oregon, hands, and that's Westbrook. Penalty flag comes flying in at the end of the play. Tackle was made by Bart Scott after a gain of 2, but it is a hold, and this one's coming back.
And Bart Scott, he's another guy, free agent for the Baltimore Ravens, and
he's holding number 34 offense during the run. 10-yard penalty, first down.
They think he's a guy who's going to be on this team. He's really, they say, this year's Benny Anderson. Last year, Benny Anderson came out of nowhere to make the squad, and right now Bart Scott appears to be that guy. And then you look at what happened here with Jamie Reeder, number 34, and he is the best blocker of the 3 that are battling it out right now to start at fullback. But boy, you can do away with those penalties.
Andy Reid said the reason why the competition's open at fullback is because when a fullback's going into his 4th year in this system, he's a little beaten down. Setting up a screen. That's Reeder, and he's tripped up and knocked down at the 35, a gain of 4.
I think your friend Moose Johnson might understand what he's talking about with that. I mean, really, honestly, you can only run into a brick wall so many times in your lifetime without your neck giving way. And for the most part, when those guys are finished is when they start getting the stingers in the neck and the shoulders, and you just can't hold up for that long.
Well, and Brad Childers said that's the kind of fullback they're looking for, someone like Moose Johnston, but it's like saying you want a receiver like Jerry Rice. Those guys are just hard to find.
Another Aikman guy. Nate Brown, what a tremendous job to hang on after a crushing hit by Chad Williams.
Well, they're going to like that from Nate Brown. He's a guy who they've really been waiting for to emerge within this system. And, you know, he does well in practice and he makes some plays. Then he gets in the games and he just hasn't been able to finish plays. He finished that one. Finished it on his back.
That's pretty good, though. I mean, you really, there's nothing. Boom. There's nothing tougher in the NFL for a wide receiver than that right there. You're running in there. You're going full speed. You know you're going to get whacked. I always said you might as well catch it. They're going to hit you anyway.
Yeah, and Chad Williams, he's a guy competing for a roster spot, too, in that secondary.
3rd and 9. And incomplete. Nate Brown, the intended receiver, and now 0 for 10 on 3rd down of the Philadelphia Eagles.
You know, I think that's one of those series, though. Yeah, they didn't get the touchdown, but there was a lot of good things that happened right there. You know, they got a chance to look at some of these young receivers and see what they could do, and they stepped up and made some plays. I would think that Andy Reid would be happy with what happened there, other than the fact they're kicking a field goal.
Again.
46-yard attempt. 2 out of 3 tonight is David Akers. And it is hooked. Incomplete. So Akers now 2 for 4 on the evening. I don't think Ray Lewis is coming back in this game.
I don't know. I'd be afraid of him just dressed like that.
Tomorrow on Fox Saturday Baseball, the Angels will try to keep pace. A tight AL West race when they take on the Red Sox, trying to keep pace in that wild card chase in the AL, or the National League East leading Braves battle the Dodgers, who lead the NL wild card race. Or other regional action begins tomorrow with This Week in Baseball at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. The Red Sox won tonight behind Pedro Martinez 4-1 over Anaheim.
Arizona looks like they're cranking it up at the right time, too.
Oh, yeah. Tellis Redmond, huge hole, big hit, but a first down, brought down at the 49.
Yeah, and Tellis Redmond last week had 2 fumbles and lost one of them. They were able to recover the other one, but he wanted to come into this ball game and really show that he could be a dependable running back and that a guy that he can count, that they can count on. It looks like he's going to make this squad, but ball security is of the utmost importance for those running backs.
On first down. Throw to the far sideline and a completion to Ron Johnson.
Well, I think I struck a nerve the other night with Brian Billick when I asked him the question. I've heard a lot of people say it, that Brian Billick, even though he won the Super Bowl, he wasn't happy because he didn't do it in an offensive manner. And he said, you know, for those people that think I have to validate my coaching career by recreating the offense that we have in Minnesota is just ridiculous. He says, I'm a head coach. I get paid for wins and Super Bowls, not for offense.
2nd down and 2. And the 3rd quarter comes to a close. They did win it, however, in an offensive fashion against the Giants as they beat up on them 34-7 in Super Bowl 35. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. The score 10-6 Ravens. This Fox NFL special will continue after a word from your local Fox station. They start him young around here. All painted up and ready to go. Start of the 4th quarter. Jeff Blake rushing for a first down. He gets it inside the 40. And I know we touched on this earlier in the night, and you can say what you want about Chris Redmond, but I'll open it up again. I mean, Jeff Blake is showing much more than Redmond here tonight. And I know they want to develop Redmond, but you know, Blake is a guy that maybe they can hang their hat on for a while.
Yeah, but I think also, you know, obviously you're not, it's always so hard to judge quarterbacks in preseason games because things are different. Situations are different. You're going against different personnel. Different personnel are in for you. Chris Redmond's going to be their starter to open up this season.
2 tight ends set for the Ravens on first down. Tellis Redmond. He got 4.
Here's a look at Ray Lewis, and not only does he terrorize offensive players, but you take a look here, he'll even terrorize an official over there on the sidelines, a down marker, and he's not taking anything from him either. He might be the only guy who has stood up to Ray Lewis.
He's bad. That's a bad guy right there now. He just bowed right up. He was ready to take him on.
2nd down and 6. Completion to the tight end. That's John Jones, and he's flipped and brought down at the 15.
You know, Joe, to get back to your point, though, about this quarterback situation, this is really the first time that we've seen Jeff Blake with the starters. What Brian Billick tell us the other night, that all we've had him do so far is play with the Cowboys and Indians out there, guys that really don't know what they're doing. And I don't know if it's going to be a controversy with Brian Billick or not, but I would imagine the talk shows in Baltimore are going to have some fun this week.
On first down, Redmond. Boy, he hits the hole hard. Brought down near the 10-yard line, a gain of 5.
You know, another look at Ray Lewis, and I was talking to Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, before the game, and was talking to him about, I've never seen a guy's motor run like what Ray Lewis does at practice or in these games. And he said Ray will run 50 yards to chase down a running back, and if the other 10 guys on the defense aren't running with him, he will point them out individually and make them get down and do 100 push-ups before they get back in the huddle, and every one of them get down and do it for him.
Second down and 5. Tellis Redmond with a couple over the right side. Third and short coming up.
And I don't know about with you, Chris, when you were playing, but I know this. It is a pretty strong leader on a football team when you can tell someone at this level to get down and give you 100, and they do it.
I'm just trying to think how many days it would take me to do that.
Yeah, 100?
Wow.
You'd miss the rest of practice.
Man.
You can't do 20 or 25?
Like one a day over 100 days?
I don't think it's negotiable with Ray.
It's like a signing bonus. You can
prorate
spread it out. Third down and penalty flags. And it's a procedure call against Baltimore.
Prior to the snap, ball start, number 82, offense. 5 yards, third down.
At the end of July, I was standing by the Gravitron in one of the boardwalk areas in Ocean City, New Jersey. And who was there with his granddaughter, Bob McElwee? This was an easy little trip for Bob McElwee, who lives in that area.
Did he still have his microphone on and
Absolutely
describing the action? He's got a little play-by-play in it.
He only wears black and white. Third down and 8. Blitz coming. Blake flips it up. And incomplete. Javen Hunter had a hold of the jersey of Lito Shepherd.
Well, that is the Philadelphia Eagles. Defensively, they have been one of the top red zone defenses in the NFL under Jim Johnson. And when you get down here, you can just expect this out of the Eagles. They're not going to sit back and let you take your time and throw a touchdown pass. They're going to come get you.
It was Julian Jones coming on the blitz. Stover drills the field goal of 31 yards. And it's now a 7-point game. Baltimore 13, Eagles 6. Time for Philly to go back to work.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere NFL fans want to be. By Ford, no boundaries. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Get lost in a Reese's.
Donovan McNabb is finished for the night. One of his backups will try to get the Eagles back to even, down by 7. Jeff Blake has been impressive. This last one, a 9-play drive covering 51 yards, and it ended with a matched over 31-yard field goal. And now it's time for the kick. J.R. Jenkins will boot it for Baltimore. Freddie Millens and Brian Westbrook are waiting deep. That's Westbrook from the 5. Has room. Good return out to the 38. We heard from Donovan McNabb. We watched Donovan McNabb, and let's take a peek back at his night. It started with him honoring Randall Cunningham, who officially retired as an Eagle here tonight. And then we saw some good and some bad.
Well, and that's pretty typical of a night for Donovan McNabb. You're going to have some really exciting plays. You're going to have some plays that are pretty ugly, and that's exactly what we saw there in that first half with Donovan.
It was really interesting talking with both he and Andy Reid about the decision to draft him, and of course that day when he was taken here and all the boos that.
Hasselbeck has it knocked away. The ball still loose, and it's recovered by the Eagles. Looked like Scott Peters fell on top of it. Lewis Green is the one that knocked it away.
Yeah, Lewis Green just come back. Hasselbeck never even knows that he's coming on his backside. You see there, he doesn't see him until late. He has no chance. And you take a look at the blocking up front. And, well, Rod Smart,
AKA,
right here, number 35, a.k.a. He Hate Me,
and
completely whiffs.
Hasselbeck hates him right now. I'm sure that'll go away as time goes on. Ball is handed to Brian Westbrook, and well, here you go, Chris Collinsworth, the moment you've been waiting for. Here's Tim Hasselbeck. What are some of the good things that have gone on in the life of Tim Hasselbeck?
Well, I think probably most people know by now that his wife now was Elizabeth Kolarsky, who was on the Survivor show, and had the good fortune of meeting both Tim and Elizabeth. They came to our golf tournament this year, and the whole family has a little pedigree.
That's He Hate Me. Rod Smart, he of XFL fame, gets it to the 35 near the original line of scrimmage, a gain of 14, but time for the Eagles to punt. They've been moving backward here in the second half.
I like the way they put it up in the training room, though. They always go last name first, so they had Hate Me, He.
Hate Me, comma, He.
Right, yes.
This is Lamont Brightful waiting for a Steve Cheek punt. And the punt takes an Eagle bounce, and it's down inside the 15-yard line. You've heard of He Hate Me? He can now be called He Missed Me. The Eagles give it back to the Ravens. Baltimore up by 7. I think all in all, Jeff Blake can consider tonight a success, as Brian Billick got him in with a first-team offense early. And here in the second half, Blake and his friends on offense have given the Ravens what is now a 7-point lead. Wes Pate, a bit of a surprise to be in the game as he throws, and it's incomplete. We talked to Billick yesterday about the third string situation. He said he won't see either one of them, and neither one has really distinguished himself so far this camp.
Well, you're going to take a look at Rashard Cook right here. He's the guy who's going to be playing the nickel back when they get into the regular season, trying to blow it up, really. I mean, that's what they want those guys to do. Jim Johnson, just when they send a guy on a blitz, he wants him coming 100 miles an hour and just trying to blow up the blocker.
But what a great job by Marvin Brown on the blitz pickup. He blew him right out of there.
Second down and 10. Pate hands. That's Damian Hunter, and he picked up 3. Wes Pate is one of the third-string candidates. The other is Cleo Lemon. Lemon is out of Arkansas State, a rookie. Wes Pate is a rookie out of Stephen F. Austin. And Quentin Caver is down and injured after that play. It's going to be third down for Baltimore. And we will take a break as they check on the status of Quentin Caver. See if Pate can get the Ravens a first down. Well, that's not a good sight for the Eagles, as Quentin Caver needs help getting off the field. Took a hit on his left knee, and they'll check on that. Here it is, another look.
Yeah, you're going to take a look. He's right here, and the hit that he takes down low, right around the knee area. Maybe some kind of hyperextension or an upper thigh bruise.
Marvin Brown was the one who threw the block. It's third down and 7. Waiting, and now drilling it. The catch is made for a first down. That was Hambrick. This may be the third week of the preseason, but we have seen plenty of big hits here tonight from guys trying to make their team. tear to your eye, Troy. I saw that. It's first down and a carry over the right side by Damian Hunter, a gain of 3.
You know, people forget, though, how significant this football game is for the guys that are in the game now. Now, that doesn't mean anything to Ray Lewis or Donovan McNabb or those guys, but for the guys on the football field right now, it means the difference between going back home and looking for a job or going back to school and playing in the National Football League.
Roster to 65 players. That's coming up this week on the 27th. And down to 53 on September 1st. 2nd down and 7. Pate in trouble for a moment. Now a run. And get a first down up the middle. I mean, the middle of the field was absolutely wide open, and Wes Pate went shoeless for a gain of 24 yards.
How about Wes Pate in this ball game? I don't think that the coaching staff was real high on him. Would that be fair to say, Mr. Aikman? I don't think they were real high.
I think that
this guy doesn't even need shoes to pick up 30 yards.
I'll tell you what, it's unbelievable athletic play. Tyrell Harrison coming up on him there. He's able to get away from him and just does an athletic move without a shoe and up inside. And really nice play by Wes Pate.
So they bring Cleo Lemon in now, who takes over at quarterback. And the ball is handed to Damian Hunter, and a big hit by Julian Jones.
Here comes the franchise back on the field. Nope.
So that cost him the rest of the drive, potentially losing his left shoe.
Yeah, and he knows it too, and he's a little frustrated. He said, hey, I'm the guy who got him down there on that first down. It's my turn to get back out on the field. And Chris, to follow up on your point, you know, talking about these young guys that are playing, the other thing that these coaches don't want to see is they don't want to see a guy that they know they're going to be releasing on Tuesday. They don't want to see him get hurt because he'll be stuck on the roster until he gets healthy.
Blitz coming, and everybody's jumping. This will be against the Ravens.
Prior to the snap, ball start, number 60, offense. 5 yards, 2nd down.
They could have flagged Jim Jones or Ethan Brooks. They got Jones.
These would be the Cowboys and Indians that Brian Billick was referring to.
That's right.
When Jeff Blake was playing. True love, ain't it grand?
So now it's Cleo Lemon who's playing behind this group, and as I say that, Wes Pate trots back into the game. So I think Brian Billick said, all right, give Cleo a couple of plays, but let's see more from Wes Pate. Was thrown for 1 first down, rushed for another, 2nd down and 13. And a bad toss. Loose football. And it looks like it's recovered by Philadelphia. It is. Rasmanis comes up with it.
Well, it's not as easy as it looks, I guess. The second bad pitch we've seen tonight. And if he's on the bus home, he's got to think about a pitch that sent him there.
Well, we shall see what the 2nd and 3rd stringers can do for the Philadelphia Eagles as they try to go in for the game-tying touchdown.
Well, this is when it gets fun. That's what we said, is that these guys are being evaluated. They're going down to 65 roster on Tuesday, so this is their time to do it.
Their time to do it, and really there's not any more pressure in the National Football League than what you'll see in this final quarter. I mean, honestly, for these guys, this is their shot.
Well, who's going to do it? The reserves for the Eagles on offense or the reserves for the Ravens on defense? A.J. Feely back to work. Actually, Hasselbeck, and he is flushed out of the pocket, throws incomplete. Sean Scott, the intended receiver. So it's Hasselbeck who gets the chance, and I think you can throw a blanket over the job done by A.J. Feely tonight and say that he did pretty well.
Pretty well.
Yeah, I think he did. And, you know, he's a guy with some real ability. He had a good career at Oregon. And it's just the whole thing with quarterback with these young guys is getting snaps, and they don't get that opportunity when you've got a guy like Donovan McNabb as your starter.
So it's up to Hasselbeck, who tosses on 2nd down and 10. That's smart. He gets a couple yards over the right side. It'll be 3rd and 8.
And, you know, to talk about the Eagles and where they have to go from here in this season, what they have to do is, you can talk about what happened last year in the NFC Championship game, but historically under Andy Reid, they have started out slow. And so they have to come out from game one and play well. And for them to get to the Super Bowl, they need to make sure they're playing that championship game here in Philadelphia and not on the road somewhere in St. Louis.
3rd down and 8. Ofer so far on 3rd down, not anymore. A 1st down as the reception is made by Sean Scott.
Hasn't been a great start for Tim Hasselbeck. He really needed to keep this drive alive to give himself a chance. Stands in there, gets great protection. Pretty ball.
So the first 3rd down conversion of the night happens with under 4.5 minutes to play in the game for the Eagles. That's not a good sign. The first string unit play the entire first half. Hasselbeck has it tipped and it's incomplete. Omari Jordan was right in the middle of it. May have gotten his big hand up to knock it down.
Now, Chris, I want to ask you, you made the point there, you know, nice ball. And I was talking to some of these receivers down here on the field, and, you know, when you were talking about Chris Redman, you know, tell me about Chris Redman. They say he throws a nice ball. You know, St. Louis, they talked about this guy throwing a nice ball as opposed to Kurt Warner, who's got a wobble. How important is that?
Well, I played with both, to be honest with you.
Nice throw on a slant by Hasselbeck, another 1st down.
Kenny Anderson was about as pure a thrower as I've ever been around. I mean, the ball just never wobbled. We played in the Freeze Bowl game, 59 below zero. The wind's blowing 35 miles an hour. Just the most awful day you've ever seen. Dan Fouts had all kinds of trouble throwing the football, and Kenny Anderson threw nothing but spirals, as opposed to Boomer Esiason, who had the huge arm. But they came out a few different directions too. But you know, it really shouldn't make any difference. If you're a professional receiver, sometimes you just have to catch both ends.
On 1st down, Hasselbeck dumps it off. Rod Smart gets it to the 13. John Runyon, the starting right tackle, evidently used some of his wife's shampoo and now has gone blonde for the evening.
Well, hey, I was down talking to him today, and I noticed that he had put a little bleach in that. He's too big for me to say anything to.
So we'll just
I'm going to tell him. Yeah, we'll leave it alone.
2nd down and 6. Decent protection for Hasselbeck. Boom, guns it in. That's a 1st down at the 5-yard line, and we've seen some good throws out of Hasselbeck now. 2.5 minutes left, and the Eagles down by 7.
Hasselbeck starting to show a little poise in the pocket and some presence back there, and here he's got Tony Stewart, and I tell you, puts it on his back hip. Tony Stewart, nice job of reaching back and making that grab over the middle.
Coming up on the 2-minute warning. 1st and goal from the 5, and a timeout called for by Hasselbeck.
You know, you saw Donovan McNabb there on the sidelines, and these veteran players, when they get a chance to come out of the game, and they have a good time. I mean, look at evidently he's working on his dance moves over there, and
Hasselbeck's out there fighting for his life.
And there you got Ray. Ray's yucking it up with officials on the sidelines, and you know what? And the reason they do that is because they know once they get into the regular season, this fun on the side, that is over unless you're in a blowout game.
But you know, the one thing that Andy Reid talked about, he knew when he got a quarterback that he was going to draft, he had to have somebody that could handle this city. This is a tough city. You come in here and you play quarterback in Philadelphia, you're going to have to be able to handle the pressure. And one of the things that Andy Reid really liked about Donovan McNabb was his sense of humor. The fact that things sort of rolled off of him, and all of a sudden now you can see what a dynamic guy is. All the guys gravitate to him on the sideline. He's that sort of a leader.
The late local news coming up after this game, except on the West Coast. 2:09 left. Eagles down by 7. Hasselbeck on a quarterback draw. Down to the 1.
Well, you know that the starters aren't in there now for Baltimore. They wouldn't be running that play if Ray Lewis was in there in the middle.
Hasselbeck wouldn't. He did, and we're at the 2-minute warning. Two minutes left. The Eagles with the ball, 2nd and goal from the 1. They do have a timeout remaining. Time probably won't be a factor at this point. We saw it last week with the Chicago Bears in St. Louis. It'll be interesting to see if they do get the ball in the end zone, if they go for the extra point to tie it, or if Andy Reid will elect to try to go for 2 to win it. And if they don't get it, then they lose and they don't have to play on into overtime.
I think if they score here, he's going to be going for 2, because you talk to any one of these coaches in these preseason games, the biggest thing that they don't want to have happen, they want to get out of the game without injuries.
2nd and goal. No sign yet. And right now they're calling it 3rd down as Rod Smart went into the pile and was knocked backward.
One of the things I do not like in the National Football League is the fact that the umpire, who is standing right behind this play, can't call touchdown. It's left to these side judges, and I'll tell you right now, that looks like he's over the line. And the best view is right there. That guy can see it better than anybody else 9 times out of 10, but he doesn't have the right to call a touchdown.
Hasselbeck keeps it on 3rd down, and they give him a touchdown. That last reach got it into the end zone.
Well, and Andy signaling for 2.
That was a tremendous effort by Tim Hasselbeck. He's completely stuffed here, stays on his feet, reaches the ball out. Barely, but yes, a touchdown. Great effort.
Just did break the plane of the goal line. And now a chance for 2. So who's going to win this game? It could end up being determined on this play.
I think if I were Tim Hasselbeck, I'd ask the offensive line for a little help on that last play.
Now they may look at it.
We are reviewing the ruling on the field.
Looked like to us he did break the plane of the goal line.
Inside 2 minutes, it goes upstairs to decide whether or not it's going to be reviewed. But I think after a quick look, they'll say, yes, it is a touchdown.
So the only other thing to determine, and obviously it's going to happen here as we take another look at the play, and on the 2nd or 3rd effort, like the back end of the ball ended up over.
Any part of the ball that goes over even the smallest space of that line, it's a touchdown.
I was just going to say, if, and they are going to go for 2 and try to either win it or end it losing by 1, unless something crazy happens in the last minute. His knees were not down, and I think they'll let the touchdown stand. Would be another chance to evaluate these backup quarterbacks, but that may be left for week 4 of the preseason.
Whether the ball was across the plane of the goal line.
Well, and I think that's exactly right, that they've got another preseason game. These young quarterbacks will play extensively in that game, and they'll get a chance then to see what they can do. But right now, they've got their starters out. They've got the guys out here that they're evaluating. But they want to get out of this game with as few injuries as what they can. So these coaches, you talk to them to a man, they think 4 preseason games is too many already. And there would be a lot of upset people if they tried to kick the extra point, if in fact this is a touchdown, and send it into overtime.
And the hardest thing would be jogging across the field to shake Brian Billick's hand and trying to explain to him why you sent it into overtime.
Well, if the touchdown does stand, the Eagles will attempt to go for 2, something they didn't do all of last season. The only team in the National Football League that did not attempt a 2-point conversion.
But they did last week.
We'll get the call from Bob McElwee.
After reviewing the play, the ball broke the vertical plane of the goal line and the quarterback was knocked down. Results in a touchdown.
Well, we got one right this week.
Say, this has been a rather well officiated game here tonight.
Bob McElwee, we were down there at the officials meeting. He got a big award down there as the official of the year. Congratulations to him. sort of a lifetime achievement award, I think. He's been around for a long time. Has done a tremendous job.
Yeah, I think when you talk about these players and these teams going through preseason games, that's exactly what this is for these staffs here with the officials. You know, it's their first chance for some of them to get the chance to work together, so they're learning as well.
A fake on the end around and a throw incomplete. Smart, the intended receiver, right in his arms, and he could not hang on.
Well, last week they went for the two-point conversion, and McIntyre, their fullback, was unable to bring in the catch to win the ball game here. Hasselback, he's going to Rod Smart, and he's got a shot. He just got to get it to him. And Rod has just got to come down with the catch.
Joe, this is too easy. What's his nickname?
He hate me?
Yeah, and Tim Hasselbeck's going to join that club now.
Now it's they hate me.
He dropped me. As you said going to break, or during the break, Chris, sometimes your nickname works for you.
And sometimes it work again you.
So with 1:19 to go, now it may be an opportunity, and you would expect it, from the Eagles to try an onside kick. And watching the Eagles in practice, and David Akers in particular, this guy's got one of the most unique onside kick approaches of anybody in the NFL.
Yeah, he really does, and they were working at it quite extensively in practice the other day, and I'm sure we're going to get a good look at it here, but he does a nice job of hitting it at the right point on the ball to allow it to get that. It'll roll a couple and then get the big hop, which is what you're looking for, to try to recover it along that sideline.
And this is a nightmare for the guys on the hands team. If he hits this right, it is going to bounce about 25 feet in the air, and this crowd right over here is going to cause some serious pain on this crowd right over here.
Donovan McNabb into it. Akers. Ball takes a hop, a chance for the Eagles. They got an onside kick last week, but it's recovered by the Ravens. And now the Eagles, with only one timeout remaining, it appears, will fall to 1-2 on the preseason.
He didn't hit it the way that he did in practice.
No, he didn't get the roll and then the big hop. The hop came early, but I tell you, what you want is a chance, and they still had a chance to pull it down.
Jamie Reeder looked like he jumped a little too soon. Donovan McNabb's.
And that's what I like. I like that Donovan McNabb, the leader of this team, is into the game in the fourth quarter and watching what's going on.
Will Demps of the hands team came down with it. And I would imagine the Eagles will just let it run down and won't bother using that last time out. But crazier things have happened in this world. So the Baltimore Ravens at times impressive here tonight, and these are two teams that head into the regular season with totally different agendas.
Well, there's no question about that. The Eagles go into the season, they feel like they're a Super Bowl contender, in which they are, assuming they can stay healthy. The Ravens, on the other hand, they think they're going to put together a roster of 53 guys that can compete. If they keep their right guys healthy, they think that they have a team potentially 8-8, 9-7, right in that range.
You know, and I say congratulations to Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator. Did a nice job here today in a totally non-win situation for him. Comes in, replaces Marvin Lewis, but has to come in without Marvin Lewis's players. Saragusa, Sam Adams, Jamie Sharper, Rod Woodson, Dwayne Starks, Rob Burnett, Corey Harris, all gone. Peter Boulware, Michael McCray didn't play in the ball game tonight, and yet you look at what they did defensively. Very sharp effort.
And Jeff Blake, who took over in the first half, but in the second half led the Ravens down the field, got them the lead that they never did relinquish. And I thought it was a nice night for Jeff Blake as well.
Well, I think it was too. I think he showed something, and I'm looking forward to watching these Eagles play this year. I still think, despite of what happened tonight, that they're going to be a team right there in the thick of it come December.
So Chris, the Eagles lose, but remember, they didn't do what for this game? They didn't game plan.
Thank you.
So they're not worried about it, at least outwardly. 13-12 the final. We'll be back in just a moment. Baltimore with a 1-point win here in Philadelphia. They will make the short trip home. They go to 2-1 in the preseason. Time for the UPS leaderboard. Chris Redman, the starter for the Ravens, ended up 9 for 15 for 150 yards. One pick was on a tipped ball. Westbrook, we came in talking about him, not much on the ground. Pinkston, one of the big days receiving for the Philadelphia Eagles. That'll do it for Troy Aikman, Chris Collinsworth, and Pam Oliver. I'm Joe Buck. So long from Philly. Let's go back to Los Angeles as Randall Cunningham waved goodbye to the fans here in Philly. We say hello once again to JB, Terry, and Howie from all of us at the Vet until September 8th on opening day. So long.
All right, Joe Buck, thank you so very much. Fox Saturday Baseball comes your way tomorrow, and be sure to tune in at 1 o'clock Eastern when we bring you up to date on the latest in the baseball labor talks. Of course, you know the strike date is set for 1 week from today. That'll be followed by these baseball games on Fox. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. As we bring you back to Studio 2A here in Los Angeles, California, Howie Long, Terry Bradshaw, yours truly, James Brown, and you heard Joe Buck talk about September the 8th, Sunday. Of course, we get started with week 1 of the NFL season. Some outstanding games in the lineup, including Atlanta at Green Bay, Michael Vick, Brett Favre, but some great games throughout the entire day, Howie.
Yeah, early games, Eagles at the Titans, and many football experts believe that the Eagles are really the cream of the crop in the NFC, along with the St. Louis Rams. And, of course, Steve Spurrier unveils that run and gun or fun and gun offense when the Cards visit the Redskins. And late, Rams at Broncos. We're going to find out if the Rams are in the right frame of mind after losing at the Super Bowl. And an intriguing game. Saints at the Bucks. Terry, John Gruden, new head coach down there. Be interesting to see.
Especially after the thumping that Tampa Bay gave Haslett's team last year. And also, we want to welcome to the NFC and to Fox, certainly Seattle and Mike Holmgren and the Seahawks unveiling their stadium, their new uniforms as they travel down to play with their old arch rival, the Oakland Raiders, but now being a part of our NFC West package. Certainly excited about that. 7 playoff teams on Fox starting our opening season.
Great week.
It's going to be, going to be a great, great day.
Terry Bradshaw has already extended just a little bit of love to a guy we will have in the studio with us on Sunday, September the 8th. Jimmy Johnson, our former colleague, will be back here in the studio for Fun and Games with Howie and Terry. Jimmy Johnson back here in the studio, demonstrating on the football field, talking about Steve Spurrier in the NFL. That will be followed by these games, as we talked about already. Most of you will see the Eagles at the Titans. Eddie George back healthy. Steve McNair in action as well. And the late games, Rams at Broncos. You heard that already. Rams expected to be the favorite by most for the Super Bowl. What's the deal here?
Howie and I already can promise you out there that we're not going to show any love to Jimmy Johnson. Right?
Oh, he's dragging Howie into it.
I'm forewarning you, Jimmy.
We'll see you Sunday, September the 8th.
We'll get it out there early. I love you, Jimmy. I love you, man.
Fox Sports thanks you for watching this presentation of the National Football League. The NFL is online at www.nfl.com.